Okay, my internet is stuck on hamster level efficiency again. Apologize for that. We turn some stuff off. Welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name is Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter and Threads and everywhere else you may prefer to use an at. We do a Dynasty/Fantasy Football live stream every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern Eastern Standard Time till about the time you run out of questions or we get really tired and want to go. Tonight I only have Zach Reed with me, so just a solid, A stars tonight. To talk about any questions, comments, or thoughts you have about Dynasty or fantasy football in general, no matter what streaming platform you're watching this on, whether it's Twitch or whether it's YouTube or whether it's one of the others that I click when I start this thing. Feel free to drop those in whatever comment box that streaming platform has. Platform sounds better, But anyway, and we'll be happy to talk about it, answer it, or argue with you about it if that's your particular thing. Welcome to week 4 of the NFL season. This is when stuff starts to get real and the trends really start to set in. So it's actually a pretty important week for what's coming. Let's go. Hey, Zach, how you doing?
Hey, not too bad. Feeling good about it.
Good. What's new with you? What did you notice about week 3 the most?
I noticed that my teams that went against Miami Dolphins all got obliterated. The 7-point Dolphins game. I mean, that was pretty much my takeaway.
Yeah. When Raheem Mostert as running back 2 can put up 45 points, it's a high scoring game. What I noticed is that both AJ Brown and Jamar Chase are currently top 12 wide receivers without touchdowns, like not a one. Like that's, and I saw someone complaining about one or the other the other day. I was like, they'll score touchdowns eventually, right? They're not Julio Jones that one year. And they're already. So that stood out pretty well. That and tight ends. I had to write up so many tight end trends this week for my weekly series, looking at trends and stuff.
Did you do a nice Sam Laporta write up?
I didn't. I feel like there's no point. I'm not trying to just highlight the stuff you read in every waiver wire column. I'm trying to make it more of a dynasty dive, like what might be a little under the radar, stuff that we should be paying attention to as early as possible.
Donald Parham.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned him, but his usage is really. He's just being preferred in the red zone. Yeah, it's all red zone. And when you got Justin Herbert, that's going to pay off more weeks. And it's not. Yeah. But it's not something that we typically say is consistent volume or something. But he's startable. He's a streamer.
So I know you don't watch the games, but the way they're using him in the red zone is this little quick slant, and because he's 6'8",
right?
It's almost impossible to stop, and so it's been fun, and especially with Mike Williams now out, that should be an interesting kind of an every week streamer if you don't have a top, 5.
Yeah, I had to articulate that this doesn't improve the situation for Quentin Johnson. You'd hope he could earn targets either way,
right?
But if it increases his value, it tips him into a nasty sell window. But I still have hope. Some rookies are slower burns. It happens. It's frustratingly annoying how hard it is to point to Jordan Anderson's season because it's really good, but it's not highlight reel. Puka being like the highest scoring receiver.
It will be.
No, that's the thing. I think he's having the best rookie season so far, and it's just so hard to really make a catchy sentence that like number 1 in there. Make people realize it. So you just have to say like, trust me, you're too low on this guy. But the whole offense is actually outkicking its coverage in the receiving game. It's like Kirk Cousins is somehow balling. Anyway, sorry. Lakers ex-Commanders. Hello, boys. 1-2 in a 10-team half-point PPR, believe it or not. Maybe 1 of 2. He has Mahomes, Tua, Henry, Gibbs, Brees, Najee, Lamb, Chase as main guys. Need to make a move. I traded Garrett for Debo and AK, who I assume is Alvin Kamara. I don't like this. I think you'll trade Wilson for a lot more than that further down the line. I like actually trading for DK, and Kamara is interesting for a competitive team. Don't get me wrong, but just feels like you could have, It's not. I feel like Garrett's going to continue to have at least be ranked there, and then when hopefully the situation gets just marginally better, or just have one of those weeks, suddenly he's, you can trade for that top tier of players by just adding something, and you could have got Breece Hall, who's in kind of a dodgy window right now, and I really think is going to bounce back, or you could even go bargain basement shopping with like a Dameon Pierce who's going to have usable weeks and get even more on top. I mean, don't get me wrong, the trade's fine. I like getting Debo. I think he's good. And Alvin Kamara has hopefully startable weeks coming, but it's not my favorite for someone like Garrett Wilson in Dynasty, even on a competitive.
It's the points trade. I mean, like that's what it is. It's Debo should score more than Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is in quarterback purgatory right now. So,
if you were making a pure points trade, wouldn't you push more of it onto the running back side than because this Debo is the more certain points getter here, and I like Debo, and I think he's undervalued still, and that's good. That's good. But like if I'm going for a pure points trade, I'm looking for a difference maker at running back, the marginal thing, and Alvin Kamara has been that, should be pretty good, but I want to see him start the season and play before I really think he has that upside. And there are players in the league right now that you could have gone for that have more. You could have switched the value from Debo to the running back, get a better running back, and maybe a second or just something else instead of Debo. I probably rather focus running back in a points trade.
I mean, I guess, but I guess it depends on who you're getting for a running back, because most of the points running backs are at the kind of tipping point of their career, where I think Debo is not quite there yet. So, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't love giving up Garrett Wilson, but I understand that you're going to get the points. Debo is scoring 20-ish points a game in PPR. Like, in half, he's probably not quite there, but
betting on Debo always works as long as he doesn't get hurt, basically.
Yeah.
BJ Lee, sorry. Which one would you start, Schultz or Kincaid this week? I feel like Kincaid has a better chance. Yeah. That'll be a high-scoring game. I checked this out before the stream because you guys were asking this first. And yeah, Kincaid's projected higher, and also just the usage trends are going his direction more than Schultz. Schultz is disappointing and losing ground. And I think Zach had an even better answer.
I just said just start Dalton. You'll be fine.
Just start Dalton.
But yeah, no, you're right. I like Kincaid and the Dolphins. That should be yeah. It'll be Dawson Knox this week. It'll be fun. Why not?
Which rookie breakouts are we selling versus holding? I saw this question before the stream, and I don't really know. Like, a breakout's a breakout. If a player fits my definition of breakout, I don't typically sell them.
Right.
I think Puka was the case early in the season, but his usage really stabilized, and the alt value should come down to what's more reasonable, which is like he's definitely worth a mid to late first at this point. He's got top 24 in his range of outcomes. Very interesting player. Hopefully, but at top 12 value, I would sell. Outside of that, I think Downs and Addison are both underrated, breaking out very slowly right now. So yeah, that's the wide receivers. As far as the running backs go, you just buy running. That's what they do. If they've started scoring points, they're breaking out. You just buy into it. Tight ends have been the interesting conversation for me in my article this week. I know it's a really weak trend, but Trey McBride seems to be gaining just a smidge of ground. Actually, I think the routes are probably just going to go somewhere else, but he has earned a little bit more routes than Zach Ertz has been falling. I'm kind of selling that if anyone's into it at this point. But yeah, those are the ones that come to mind. Zach, anyone in particular?
I mean, I think this is a really good rookie class to be in on. I mean, we talked about that just a touch before the stream. This is a really good class, and I like Addison. Obviously, we liked him pre-draft. I think that both like Mims was another player that we identified early. He's been great for Denver and on limited targets, and he can do that, but he can also be utilized closer to the line of scrimmage and draw targets. So if like There are a lot of buys, I think, in this rookie class. It's Addison, it's Mims. You mentioned Downs, which is probably a cheaper ad. Tank Dell has been great.
Oh, Tank Dell's been great,
yeah. And just getting open like crazy. I still think Pook is probably the sell, but it's not because he's bad. It's because everybody ran out so far so fast. But like, this is what we said.
It's like a Kyle Pitts thing. It's not that we never like the player. It's that if everyone else is going to be crazy, I'm going to be Mr. Stable for over here. A-Chain, I believe as well. If that's what this question's about. Like we're pretty high on him. I'm mad I didn't think about it before, but I need some stats to look at before I say, hey, look, this player's doing well. And it just didn't occur to me to mention it last week that A-Chain's coming back. But yeah, we expected this from him. Not 60 points. But Mostart looks like the touchdown-dependent week there, and Devin A-Chain's he's shaken up the receiving depth chart already. And he's got a lot more of the rushing attempts and some of the potential ranges of outcomes would have suggested even his first week in. So,
even somebody like Charbonnet has started to kind of be used a little more. Now, it's going to be a tough backfield to break into. It's going to be a tough backfield to break into because he's got Kenneth Walker there, who's a really, really good runner. But even somebody like Charbonnet has been very good. This is just a really good rookie class, and this is what we talked about coming into it. It's what we've been talking about for 2 years. Like, this is a very, very good rookie class. There's not a lot of players that I'm not buying into at this point. I mean, like, Dalton Kincaid, I think people ran way too far by, and he's going to be fine. If I could get out of him, then maybe. Peter said that perhaps Quentin Johnston is going to be in a sell window because of the Mike Williams injury, and if people run out that he is going to be, the second target on that team in LA, maybe that is a sell. But by and large, this class has been as advertised before everybody started coming down on them. So
sorry about that. Apparently, I locked my family out the house before I started streaming, so I had to go.
I mean,
I was like, no more family. Thank you. You stay out there.
That's what I try to do. Is if you can lock them out, it's only 45 degrees. So
yeah, you got to find a little piece where you can. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I like this rookie class. I like literally that's what we were in on as everyone started talking about how bad this class was versus expectation. We were like, okay, I'm gonna go shopping for them than their picks. So pretty happy with it so far. How much in pick value should I be asking for A-Chain in a 10 team Superflex start 10? At first, feels too light. He was a late first coming in, so. Pick value is difficult because it's hard to say he's already worth multiple firsts, but he's a young running back with decent draft capital on a very good team to have players on right now. So, yeah, he should be worth about 2 firsts, but I don't think you get that trade.
Right.
If you're on a building team, you've got to look at a competitive team who just saw what he did. And it might not even be this week, but when his usage settles down next week and he's also startable, you can start looking at their team and see which young receiver you can pick off plus maybe a pick, and then you're getting actually a little bit more than that 2 firsts. That would be my inclination.
Yep.
But it's worth what it is to your league mates, and you have to decide where you're willing to give up, and that's about where I'm at. And if I can't get it right now, then I'm keeping him because I think it's going to keep going. Skandrick Abaki? I'm going to try
Shadrack.
Shadrack? Okay.
Yeah.
Why did I see a K? Scan. I can't speak. Grass is green, water is wet, and the Green Bay Packers have a franchise. No, they do not.
No.
Don't get me wrong, the results have been great. It was if you didn't sell before the season, like I probably would have been trying to do, you definitely found a better window, but I didn't like that bet. He's still inaccurate as we'll get at. And that's that comes back to bite you in the end. But the results have been great, but it's all touchdowns, and that's less stable. But I mean, let's hope. I mean, I actually do hope, but so far it doesn't look that good. How long? Well, look, how long before a top 12 dynasty QB? Never. I like that's where I'm at. Like, I'm happy to be wrong, but I'm not touching that kind of expectation for Love. No.
Well, and I think Peter, that's the yeah, but that's the fool's gold. Is he's only completing about 53% of his passes, and that's not like, it's not a sustainable, and that's gonna, I mean, that's always kind of been the fear with Love, is he doesn't, for fantasy, he doesn't run enough to me to be in the Lamar Jackson or even the Anthony Richardson, because
even Fields was completing at a higher rate than this last year.
He has been good. I mean, I think he's QB4 right now, but he's also thrown.
Points have been good.
Yeah. So,
no, I would say anything close to that value. The rookie QB or the new QB that's impressing is it's Houston. Houston seems like a really rich dynasty ground right now. Stroud's been great. He's got the draft capital. We expected him to be great, which is always nice when those things add up. And he's not doing it purely through touchdowns. Like, it's been pretty impressive for me. But like I say, QBs, I'm not gonna die on the hill. But I'll stand on it a while. BJ Lee, best flex player to buy right now, who will be cheap and could rise in value. Flex player, value riser. I think we mentioned some of the best ones I've had that I can think of. Like Jones looks like a key to me, because your role really seems to be growing. If you want something that's even a little bit more proven, like I expect Downs to have Tank Dell level upside, and Tank Dell's already doing it. I think if you're looking for value that's going to rise, that's a very different thing than players who may be a little undervalued. For example, Tutu Atwell, well, we've been all over Puka. That role looks real too. And it's a lower role with more flexible, you said flex specifically, upside rather than regular top 24. But it looks real. In the same way that Puka's does after week 3. If he's a top 24, Tutu looks very firmly a top 36 going forward. But you're not going to get a value rise out of Tutu. Those who don't like him for reasons that aren't going to change, because he's tiny, and that's not going to change. So, the ones who are interested have already been interested.
Yeah.
So I think Downs, Addison is my, if you're asking me who should I go trade for, it's still Jordan Addison. He's still top of my rookie list right now, especially since it's been good, but it's kind of under-mentioned because, Puka's been such a conversation, and A-Chain just had 60 points. There's not as much content to grip onto with Addison, but it's been really good through 3 weeks, and it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. So Addison's still top of that list for me.
What about Tyjae Spears? I think Derrick Henry doesn't look healthy, and Spears has seen his usage creep up. And if you get a game or two, and this is, again, J Mike and I just did an entire show about this last week, where adding those running backs, and we try to do it before the season, but even if you can identify places where you can make this happen in season with a Spears, that could end up being a pretty big payoff, I think.
And again, talking about rises in value, Breece Hall is going to remind us pretty soon. Like he ticked up in usage last week, while the performance wasn't as good as week 1. He seems to be more healthy. He had his highest snap share so far. I think Dameon Pierce is going to have more weeks like he had last week. Very startable, maybe even some more upside in that. But that's a very different risk profile versus value rise than someone like Quentin Johnson. He's a dynasty play right now, but there's a lot to be scared about in those first 3-4 weeks, not earning any targets. I don't think Mike Williams being gone makes him more likely to do anything, but I still like him as much as I did 3 weeks ago. Like, I'm waiting for this week to really start, making some questions.
What are you a Josh Palmer guy?
I like him. Yeah. I think he's solid. I think he's like, sorry, carry on.
Well, no. So there's the injury to Mike Williams. So
he immediately takes over.
Yeah, it seems like Josh Palmer probably sees more targets than what he's been seeing, and he's been pretty successful with what he's seen. So that may end up being, and he's probably going to be like one of the flavors of the week for waiver wire ads and that sort of thing. And Definitely. If you're in a deeper league, maybe he's rostered, but he could be somebody that sees an uptick in points, which then leads to value in season.
Yeah. I don't think Palmer's value skyrockets is a problem. Like, he's far into his career, he's pretty old. I see him as like Kendrick Bourne, Zach Pascal, those kind of replacement level, but great for just solid weeks now and again.
I mean, in season though, Peter, because if he starts scoring, and if he's a top 24 wide receiver, say, all of a sudden he goes from you can get him for a third to you can pair him with a second and get a first, which
you're not wrong.
Can't.
I'm just Just if you got the cap on the expected rise, then yes, for sure. We've seen Palmer do this before. Like, that's why I know about him. That's why I like him. He's done this before. And yeah, to be clear, Quentin Johnson, even if you believe that players seed volume that way, like, he does not have an easier path with Josh Palmer instead of Mike Williams on the team. Palmer's for real. He's a legit NFL player who's done pretty good for fantasy based on the fact, like, again, like a Kendrick Bourne who you get for free forever. And when you need a bye week fill in, he's there sometimes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
top 36 guy. Palmer's actually was a solid top 24 for a while.
Yeah,
and Charbonnet, what did you say?
Yeah, Charbonnet.
I haven't been looking at him or Tank. Like, there's just no path until there's a path. That's fine. But what were you going to say about him?
Well, no, like, he's seen his usage increase, and again, it's you're buying on the cheap because there could be a path. And that's kind of that's what I'm looking at for these players. It's not you're not cheering for injury, but you're also understanding that's the zero RB play. The zero RB, the title of zero RB strategy is anti-fragility.
And there you go. Like, that's the same mistake I made with A-Chain. Liked him in the rookie draft, happy to add him, but he's not standing out to me as an ad right now because he hasn't done anything, but you're trying to get him before he does something. So, yeah, you go back to your rookie ranks and Tank Dell. Tank Bigsby, and it's definitely someone I highlighted. And so I'd be interested in that as well, Not Heath Cummings. Good to know, not Heath Cummings. In a 1 QB start, 8 PPR, would you trade DK for Devontae Adams if you're trying to win now? I don't want to pull up my sheet or kill it. Adams definitely outscores DK this year more consistently. For a winning team, you definitely prefer Adams. I don't know who I'd target, though. Surely you want Tyreek. Honestly, if you're trading DK, you could probably go get a Tyreek Hill instead of Adams. But Adams is sure. Same position trades suck, but I get the idea behind it. You have to be all in on the win for that kind of trade, because that's straight up throwing a lot of dynasty principles out the window. It's same position. It's a straight up loss by the offseason, no matter what happens. And so you're bleeding value instead of balancing it. So it is, balls to the walls trade, but we're at week 3. You can probably make that assessment for yourself. Just be aware what you're doing. Like, if it doesn't work out, you'd be like, well, you won't be shocked by it.
Right.
But Adams is going to be better than DK for this season for a fantasy team. Sure.
Easy. Yeah.
I see. Before now, I have trouble converting. Like, DK in Dynasty me has kind of been a buy, because, like, everyone's been a little disappointed. JSN's coming along, and he's going to, I still think. And so, like, the value on, like, he started to fall in that second tier of wide receiver. But you're right, he just had that big week, and if everyone's suddenly like, his abs are back, then
Well, and he's a lot younger than Adams, and I think that's Adams is 30, so I think that's the
that's
the dynasty so.
And it doesn't mean they stop being good. I mean, Adam Thielen, it's about how much and how often and how easily you can trade them. Like that's a dynasty thing. People think age, therefore performance drop off.
Yeah.
And we try not fall into that trap, but at the same time, try and recognize that it's going to get more difficult to trade them because everyone believes that, likes that, and is going to consistently enforce it in value. Most often, you got to know your league a little bit. Like, if you're playing in a full Alpha T league, that's Keenan Allen's the most valuable wide receiver because he's a number 1 wide receiver right now, by the way. And then, that adjusts. But Mike Oxlong, 12-team, 1 QB, start 8. Deontay Johnson in a second, get Ridley.
Yes, Mike.
And you're giving up some years for a higher upside player who, I don't think Deontay Johnson reaches his peak value from previously. He's going to be solid. He's fine. That reminds me, I got to force myself to look at Juju's stats at some point. But yeah, Deontay's fine. There's no reason to hate him because he's older and now injured. But Ridley has more upside, and that's just tends to be what you're looking for. Yeah. Not Heath Cummings is talking to Jazz. So I won't read that out on that. Don't sell DK for Tay. Adams. I get it.
It's not value, but you're trying to win.
Like you said, as long as you realize you're spending some of your value there.
And you're gaining a different type of value. Like that's the thing is there are multiple types of value. And I think people don't always think about that. They sit there and look at the ADP and go, well, this is value. And it is, but there's also the value of points in season. And if you're a competing team and all of a sudden you add 20 points a week to your starting lineup over the receiver who you had in your flex, who was giving you, 8, and now all of a sudden you add 12 points to your starting lineup, you're
I think it's become kind of moot now, so I don't mention it as much, but I always used to point out, don't underrate the chance to win. How many great Dynasty players do we have out there putting out how much great Dynasty content? And then you realize I've got a 1 in 12 chance of winning a 12-team league. They don't win it every year. A high win rate. Like I asked a few of the people that do it for a living kind of a thing for a while. It's a lot lower than you think. I can't even remember the numbers anymore. But you don't have a 50% chance of winning. Playoffing, sure. But winning every year. And so if you've really got a window, spending a little long-term value on more immediate points makes a lot of sense. You should never underrate the chance to win because it's a 1 in 12 chance, even for the best players. And I ain't that. So if I've got a chance to go all in, I tend to be off that mindset. Be cautious. You can be strong or highly pessimistic in your decision on when you're in a window. But if you think you're in one, I don't mind paying to try and win that year. Don't underrate the chance. They want you to add something to DK for Adams. Then no. DK should have more tradability. Should be basically even to a team that's less competitive. Third or maybe a late second for DK. I think they're talking about what they would add. It should be pretty even to me.
Yeah.
Adams went for Alvin Kamara and a mid-set. Wow, that's low. Get it for less if you can, obviously. I'd expect them to counter for more. Okay, now we're just getting into their conversation.
There it is, Tails. Gelato.
Stickman87, 10-team Superflex start 9. 6-point passing. I don't know why I'm reading questions in such a weird tone. 6-point passing touchdowns. Had Carr as my QB3, bridge to Kyler. Makes sense. With him likely out, any ideas on which cheaper QBs I should target? Could potentially get Jimmy G, Baker, Stafford, Dobbs, Winston. Stafford's the one that jumps out to me, but I would check in with the Purdy owner. Just because Dynasty, he's got more of a window to keep doing this a little longer, I think, than most of the guys on this list. Depends where the owner in your league is at. They still think his job's shaky heading into another draft class with a lot of solid QB options, to be honest. And now they've moved on from Trey Lance. So I would check in on the Purdy team, see what their team looks like. If they're more into value, that could be an option for you. Otherwise, Stafford's the one that stands out to me here.
Yeah, I mean, although Dobbs is a pretty cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it's whichever's cheaper, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for cheap points, it's probably Dobbs, but
fair. I think Stafford still has more of that weekly ceiling, which is what puts me I'm a little more tempted. But if there's a significant value difference, yeah. So is Puka and Flowers? Are they real? Yeah, Puka his usage definitely stabilized. We saw last week more what I would expect his long-term outcome to be. It was really good. 2-2 remains solid. Flowers, I get that everyone's putting the gadget player on him. Like when Puka has weird or more consistent usage, it's exciting. When Flowers does it, people are like, oh, gadgety. That's terrible. And like, no, some players do play that. He should have better weeks, but you're right. He's got a typically lower ADOT. So does Keenan Allen, by the way. Like there is a path through volume to being a top 12 wide receiver with that sub 10 ADOT quite a lot. Now his has been sub 3 2 weeks out of 3, which is bad. But the path to him being that high volume, lower ADOT player is there. I wasn't particularly, and honestly, that's someone who kind of hem hard on Flowers. Like I was kind of ready to be like, oh, I knew I didn't like him for a reason. But volume wise, it's been pretty solid through the first 3 weeks, I have to admit. So that's not me. Just so you know the context, I'm not confirming a pre-draft bias. This is something I'm actually having to turn on because Flowers is proving to be what a lot of people hoped him to be, or at least more of it than I was suspicious of. So yeah, solid. Do not sell DK for okay. We're just
don't. I wouldn't add to DK to go get Adams.
No, the value should be on the opposite side.
Yeah.
The team getting DK should be adding years, and you're adding points, and that should make it a pretty even swap, if not a little on the DK side, to be honest. Trade-Box looking really ugly. What do we do? And mentioned this to Zach before, because again, I'm not watching. I don't know how he looks. I don't even know what color jerseys they wear. I'm panicking because I just look at trends, and I would have expected him to have a larger role, if not points and targets, just be a larger portion of those routes, if nothing else. Like the underlying, who do they want on the field the most? Like, but I'm not panic selling, as it were. I am panicking. I'm not panic selling. If I can get anything like a first in value, like I've run my course here. I've already went in an extra year than I usually do based on things that I thought I was reading. So I'm willing to get out if I can. I don't think you can, though, is the thing. And I wouldn't just trade him away for a second or anything. I think there's more positive ranges of outcomes with Burks. But yeah, I'm worried, to be clear. Yeah, it's been, I think it's bad. But you had a slightly different, this is what's actually happening.
Not like, the Tennessee offense has been anemic. I mean, Tannehill threw for 100 yards last week. They also added DeAndre Hopkins, and Pete, I said this before the show, but there are about 5 wide receivers in the NFL who would take targets away from DeAndre Hopkins. Treylon Burks is not one of them. So that was kind of a bad omen for this season. Tannehill being terrible, that offense being terrible is not great. But that being said, Burks saw 6 targets last week, and DeAndre Hopkins saw 7. So it's not like it's been ugly. A better week. It's not good. Like I can't spin it, BJ, that it's good, but it's also like that situation is abysmal.
No, it's very fair. I think he's part of this. Like, I don't want to say, because you're right. I actually don't know, but I just have a tolerance for how long I'm willing to not know before I'm like, okay, this feels like Corey Davis. I keep seeing positivity there. It should be better. I think he's good. And it keeps not happening. And so basically all I have is like a timeline for how long I can keep holding the faith before the chances that I'm losing the best last window, as it were. Like, again, this week was his best week. He had 25% of targets. He went up to 72% of the Whopper, 75% of the snaps, which is the second highest snap share week. And his routes were 22% in week 1, 24% in week 3, and in the middle it was 15%. So actually, I'm a little off there. He's actually earning a significant share of the routes, so it might be more what Zach said. But again, where I'm not a talent scout, I'm more... and on his routes, he's earning targets fairly effectively. So it might just be the team situation there. I'm just a little concerned. Like, he's not separating that much from someone like Nick Westbrook, who I don't think is particularly talented. And I expect, just because of what I've looked at in the past, that players differentiate that way. But again, it's only 3 weeks. We're trying to guess the ending of a game 3 minutes into the play, And so where I only have so much, and I'm not a talent scout, I can only believe my rookie profiles for so long. And where this is the second year for Burks, I'm starting to panic a little bit, especially because if it's situation, I don't think the situation gets that much better by the end of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't sell for less than a first, but it's definitely time where if I'm on any kind of roster, if I can get a first value out, I'm pushing it into whether I need points or long-term value. I'm considering those options just because, again, where I'm not a scout, as it were. I do the best I can, but I'm willing to fade it based on, a timeline of expected performance. Sell Burks for Christian Watson. No, I'm not there yet. No. Would you say?
Look, honestly,
given the situation, given this, if it's and that's a fair description of it. Christian Watson gets healthy, comes back, has a good week with a high touchdown scoring John Love. Isn't there a better window on Watson in the next 6 weeks than there is on Burks?
Shadrach, this is actually a good play. I don't like it, but it's if you have an active league, if you can make this trade, that is a good way to get out of Burks and then get out of Watson for more than what you could have gotten out of Burks on.
Yeah, I have to say, I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't tell anyone not to do it, if you know what I mean. Like, I can understand the play. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like, he just needs one good week, and who's more likely to get a good week before the end of the season? Yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. Love you guys. Thank you, Cypher. Amazing content. 10th Am Dynasty. I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best.
It's a 10 team.
It's a team. And normally I'm pretty good with spelling mistakes considering my history. Don't take it as a personal criticism, Cypher. This is the most readable thing I would ever have written if I had written it. But yeah, 10-team Dynasty, Superflex, start 2. Superflex, but it's a 2 QB, so not really flex set. Start 11. Trades Henry for Downs and Ingram and a 24 third. Yeah, I think that's Henry's better than that, but he's old. He's running back.
Yeah,
and you got to bail out. Yeah.
I think that's light, but
just be aware. I like Downs a lot, and I like Ingram a lot, but really you're trading a thing. You're trading the single best player, proven at least in the deal. And so that's more a trade to trade. Because if you get, I would do this and then be like, I'm holding Downs till he hits or he doesn't. But if you get a good offer on Downs eventually, that's the way you move this forward.
Right.
Or Ingram for that matter. Go find a team that needs a tight end that is competitive. That's the way you keep moving forward, because I like Downs and Ingram just a lot, but Henry's always been that higher range of outcomes guy. But yeah, it's been rough. And again, speaks to the fact that it might be the team. He's got 50% of the red zone touches so far, Henry, that is. 70% of the rushing attempts and still only 11.5 points per game. Yeah.
I mean, this past week, that whole offense just did not do anything. The whole offense.
He should do a little bit better in the future. Like he's getting touches in the red zone, and he's not scoring on all of them as he should. And we know Henry's capable of it. So there are going to be better weeks, but I don't know it's going to change his value too much. But yeah, I think it's solid. Full PPR start 1. Ford, Christian Watson, or Zay Flowers, I'm guessing. I think that's going to be Ford, right? I have to look it up.
Yeah, I would think so.
My projections are live. And I'm happy to answer them here, actually. Like, this is where I'm meant to be handling start-sit questions, but I hate making Zach wait. Well, I'm like, hang on a second. I have to type the names out here. So let me come back to this one, Green's point. A lot of love incompletions have been on the receivers, both bad routes and plenty of drops. He has definitely missed more than his fair share of throws, but I think he'll improve with experience.
People have said that about Derek Carr for a long time, but to me, drops are as much on the quarterback as they are on the receivers. And if you watch Jordan Love, if you watch games of Jordan Love, the ball is not where it needs to be all the time for the receivers to make plays. Again, it's not like Shadrach, I feel like you're a Green Bay Packers fan, like you're hard bought into Jordan Love, and we're not saying that he is necessarily bad, but a lot of what's going on so far is smoke and mirrors.
Green's point, it's Christian Watson and Zay Flowers or Zay Jones. Christian Watson and Zay Jones, I'm currently not projecting to start. I wasn't sure which Zay you meant. But between Zay Flowers and Jerome Ford, it's very easily Jerome Ford. Like there's like a 40 point overall rankings from every ranking source that I've got so far. So it's Ford.
Do you know? So I don't mean to go back to this, but the Derrick Henry and the question about Derrick Henry and even the entire offense last week for Tennessee, the Browns have allowed 21 first downs in 3 games.
I was actually going to say that. I was writing it up, and I was looking at things that might, I don't really do matchups, but sometimes I want a little background to why a trend went a certain way. And it's like Cleveland's like bottom 5 points to every position for the last 2 years, and that's as far back as I looked. I was like, yeah, that defense does not allow a lot.
That's less than 2 per quarter. That's like half a first down per drive. So like every other drive, teams are getting a first down. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Speaking of which, something else that I found, like I don't know, again, it's not something I look at regularly, but I do have the table in the database that's pinned, and I went looking for some more context of what's happening in Dallas, because pretty much everyone's underperforming in the red zone. It's like, how is everyone due a touchdown? They lead the league in attempts inside the 20 and the 10-yard line in both rushing and receiving. And I was like, okay, so Dak's getting them to the red zone, and then they're not converting. Eventually, that should, they should convert. But I thought that was an interesting one as well.
They miss Zeke.
Probably. Matt Schaaf. Yeah, I get it. What the heck should I do with Jonathan Taylor in a rebuilding team? You just keep him, hold him. There's going to be
wait until he plays and then trade him. Yeah,
there's going to be a Jonathan Taylor window eventually. If you're on a building team, that's when you shop. And if you're on a competitive team, hopefully you can use those points. Like I've actually added them on both types of teams because I think there's a better window in the future. So yeah, you're just putting them at the back of your roster, trying to put it out your mind until there's something to think about. Shouldn't the fact that there's even more points left on the field for Love be a bit of a plus? I can see what you mean. Like, well, it sounds like that baseball metaphor. Like, if you can improve the technique and he's already got lots more, then suddenly he converts at a higher rate and he's even better than he's been. Yeah, there's a logic to that. But in terms of expectation of when players improve and how quickly they show what their level of improvement possible is, we should know that by now with Love. There is the Josh Allen shield. If you want to defend yourself with something, you just hold Josh Allen up in front of yourself and let all the arrows hit Josh Allen. Because he is the one who did that. But I'm talking in terms of passing improvement, not just in terms of the rushing potential. We should have seen more, either from college or in the NFL, even through 3 games so far. But you're right. I get the logic here, but we're just telling you what happens most often. That's what we're trying to say, or what I'm trying to say. Zach's literally given an assessment of how good they are, I guess, because he watches, but and looks at numbers. But that's where I'm at. It's not that it's what you're saying isn't possible. I don't expect it based on what typically happens. But I like the logic. Looking for the opposite way that it could be a positive is honestly an interesting way of looking at things. Yeah, I get it.
Well, so he's QB4, right?
Yep.
His second game of the year, he completed 14 passes for 151 yards.
Oof.
That's abysmal, but he had 3 touchdowns. Like it's not. Again, we're not saying that he's been bad. He's been fine, but he's been buoyed by 3 touchdowns, and then being so far behind, they were down 19-0, and he threw 44 passes to get back into that game and still only threw for 259 yards on 44 passes. He's not good. He's been fine.
I agree. And I hate to play devil's advocate here, but this is also while I'm kind of ready to move on from Burks, if at fair value. Because I expect players to do well even in bad situations. Just a little bit. Show me something. Not just the volume, because I've seen volume earners. Like, good players excel in different situations. And that's a horrible... Like, I could definitely be wrong. Zach's got a point about the volume there. And the situation is terrible. But, like, in a bad situation, Dubs and... Aaron Jones, when he was healthy, that 1 week was beautiful. We're able to show something, if you know what I mean. And that's, it's not evaluating the player. It's just saying, I know that happens. So it's the reason I want to hold faith maybe as strongly as I should sometimes. But into year 2, by week 3, I'm a little shaken. And his great figures in almost every other metric. I mean, that's hyperbole in every other metric. Every metric that counts a quarterback play is bad. It's bad, except for points. I mean, I'm sure there's other positives like big throw rate and other more ancillary ones, but ones that I know of and that I track that has some level of consistency and proven stickiness or whatever you want to say, like his passing accuracy has been bad, and that's what we kind of track more than most things at QB.
Yeah, I mean, so right now in terms of touchdowns thrown.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's Kirk Cousins who's got Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson. It's Tua who's got Tyreek Hill and Waddle and whatever else is running out of the backfield there. And then third is Jordan Love. Right now, like that just doesn't feel sustainable. 4 is Patrick Mahomes, 5 is Herbert. Like Love is the Sesame Street song. One of these things just doesn't belong here. That's the one.
And what would I have that? I need these points without the touchdown rate. That's a way of saying it.
He'd have to complete a better percentage of passes,
which would be a way of doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
He could also, and to your point about Allen, he could maintain this with rushing and not necessarily get that and get a little more efficient in passing, but not sustain the production through passing. That would be another route. There are several routes to it, but that's essentially this performance on sustainable production. That's the whole reason I hemmed and hawed about Puka. It's not that it's not good. It's obviously good. He's got skills. They're doing well. They're playing well. But there's some things that are consistent over a longer period of time, some things that aren't. And this amount of points with this level of accuracy and that lack of rushing isn't as likely to persist. And so it's probably going to regress. And at that point, you've got a mediocre top 24 QB on your hands,
Yeah, well,
for fantasy. I don't know.
And we've done this, Shadrach, with a bunch of rookie quarterbacks over the past, I don't know, or first time starting quarterbacks over the past 5 or 6 years. Dynasty has started. I mean, we ran Wentz all the way to quarterback 1. We ran Baker Mayfield all the way to quarterback 3.
So it's not like passing efficient quarterbacks don't also suck every now and again either. But that was touchdown, right?
Yeah,
essentially.
So,
but like Dak Prescott, even Purdy right now, they aren't showing. That's the difference between them. It's that passing, and it sounds like we're making it such a marginal thing, but it's because what the ones that actually sustain production do versus the ones that don't, and he's on the don't list right now. There's a way to convert it, sure, but he's not showing it yet.
And it's the difference between somebody the confidence that we had in somebody like Lamar Jackson and even honestly Hurts for me, like because Hurts was such a better thrower of the football than people gave him credit for in college.
After year 1, I was like, no, they're not replacing
that. but then take that and look at somebody like Anthony Richardson or I can't even remember what his name was, but the guy that we ran out 2 years ago.
Sam Darnold?
No. Darnold was garbage. No, the Tennessee. I'll come up with it.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. Like those players were bets on legs. This is going to be part of the show this week that I do with J Mike, because I think that we run this out that fantasy football is reality, and it is not. Like, you can score points in fantasy football with your legs, or you can score touchdowns, and it's not necessarily a winning formula for the NFL long term unless you have the consistency, because eventually teams are going to make you beat them. And if you're only completing 55% of your passes, that's not a recipe to win.
It's definitely time to sell on Justin Fields. Not to say change taek, but I've been waiting for some trade offers. I've been sending them out, getting nothing. But I just got one from Matt Price, who, if you don't know, is like one of the founding fathers at DLF. Like, really solid dude, came on my podcast. He knows Dynasty. and he's on a pure productive struggle build in our DLF podcast league. He just sent me an offer. I have Patrick Mahomes for Fields, Treylon Burks, and a first for Patrick Mahomes, which is actually a solid offer. I've never seen a clearer indication. Yeah, it's time. The sharps are jumping ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. But again, that's the fantasy does not equal reality. Like Justin Fields can be a great fantasy quarterback with his legs, but if he doesn't process and doesn't complete passes, the NFL is going to give up on him, and that's not great.
And to be fair, Chris, I forget his at right now. He's kind of out of the game anyway, but he still likes to talk with us in our DMs. Chris Brooks, right? He came on my podcast this offseason, and that's literally what he said. He suspected that slowly throughout the season, he might actually lose his job. He almost predicted this to a T. And I was like, man, that's a strong thing to say for such a young, promising player. And no, he was all in. He's like, no, this isn't gonna work. QB evaluation is tough, but when you get it right, it looks like prophecy. Seriously. And again, Scandrick, to be clear, I'm not a prophet. I don't know. I mean, Josh Allen happened. I now believe anything's possible, and I'm rooting for the player at the end of it. But on my dynasty teams, I have to play the average. So I'm just going to tell you that, but you are free to make whatever bet you want for your dynasty team and tell me how wrong I am afterwards. Like, I won't back off it, but like, oh yeah, I was wrong. It's fine. And Mr. Moore, evening. Winless so far. At what point should I start making moves for next year? Now. That's a good point.
Yeah,
but
and
I mean,
looking at your team, it's obvious. It's Pollard, it's Gibbs, it's DK, it's T. Higgins, it's Ayuk, it's Pittman. But don't just sell them to sell them. Get value, because right now you should be able to.
I was going to say those are some really solid players, but you can probably do better. Like, you're hunting for 24 picks. You said this is a 1 QB.
Yeah,
this year's draft. Long-term prediction, so everything can change by the time the draft gets here, but it's more QB and RB heavy with some very premium, like the very tippy top of the wide receiver class is going to be Marvin Harrison, and everyone's going to want him. But now's a good time, and the reason you go early is, one, picks are increase in value the further we go along. Two, it's just always good to think of yourself as more building than competing, because that competitive window is smaller than we think, and that's why we also shouldn't overrate it, the chance to be one of those teams. So you can actually start trying to acquire picks that are going to become top 3, top 4, top 5 picks, and the very elite assets in this class are going to be heavy dynasty desired. So now's a really good time to do it, because they're not quite there yet, and you can get a jump start on it.
See, and I think this class is going to be quarterback, wide receiver, and Brock Bowers is there too. So tight end, you're going to have a prospect that's Kyle Pitts level at tight end, in terms of hype and that. But you're also going to have Marvin Harrison, who you mentioned. You're going to have Emeka Egbuka. You're going to have Xavier Worthley. You're going to have Malik Neighbors. You're going to have Odunze, who I don't really love, but like, the people are already talking about him as being a first round NFL draft pick. So like, you're going to have 4 or 5 wide receivers in this class, assuming everybody comes out and assuming everybody's healthy and all that. Like, so, but it's not take.
It's not going to be the dearth that we got in this class of interesting prospects. This is going to be like 5 guys everyone's really hot for. Yeah. And, 2 of them are going to be great. Yeah. But yeah, so too long didn't read. Yes, sell them, but you really want to be focusing picks that you think are top 3, top 4, making strong bets in that direction. And don't just sell them for a pick, because none of your players here are clearly worth maybe Ayuk, Pittman. Ayuk's less than that. You maybe sell them straight across for a pick you felt pretty confident was top 3, top 4. Yeah. But mostly you're trying to get better deals than that as always. But yeah. Now's more than fine to start moving. You've built a solid squad. Like, I don't think your player evaluation's sucking. Oh, I forgot, because you didn't mention it. Pollard. Like, go to the most competitive team in your league.
That was the very first name I said.
I missed it. I would keep Brees for right now. I think there's a better window coming. And Gibbs, the hype slightly faded on him after week 1, but you still might find it out there. And Charbonnet hopefully is going to be a better win. Well, not. kind of awkward to say, hopefully, but you know what I mean. But Pollard right now, he's like running back 1 in volume, and his points are not disappointing. The competitive teams in your league should be drooling over Pollard. It's a very easy trade for you, with 0 wins moving in the direction you're going. Like, yep, give me more than 2 picks and a great wide receiver. Let's go. Let's move it off my team. Something like that.
And Mr. Mole, if you move now, you have more teams that still think they're competitive right now. So you have more places to shop. You have more picks to be able to acquire more. If you can add some of these younger players in this draft class, that you're getting out of other players and adding a pick plus a pick plus an Addison, a pick plus a JSN, a pick plus, then I think you're doing some things.
Yep. Sorry, we don't mean to take forever on every question, but let's face it, there's only ever about 30 to 50 of us here. Yeah. We take our time around here, okay? Mike Oxon, 12-team 1 QB start 8, give Jalen Warren, and a second, get Roschon. Yes. Zach will look up and say yes in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. All Jalen Warren is doing is hamstringing Najee's floor right now, but Najee still got the rushing attempts, and his target share is abysmal, but it's okay. Like, I actually think there's a small Najee window, but God, that team's rough. That's really bad. So yeah, Roschon's the shiny thing here that I would actually invest in. Guys, is it too early to give up on Burks? We mentioned this a little bit, Cypher. I'm at I will panic at a first value. Mm-hmm. But there's an argument. The route volume is there. The team is struggling. This might be your team. I expected more from Burks, even on a bad team. That's why I'm panicking. Like, I had higher expectations than this. Not that it won't come to fruition eventually, or that he's not good. But that's where I'm at. Yeah.
I would rather get out for an asset that I think is ascending rather than go down with the ship if I can, which sucks because I thought Burks was really good.
As for can't stay healthy, he had his highest snap share last week. I don't know what's happened in the interim, and his highest, he had his best week last week. Yeah. All credit. Yeah. That was in comment to your people with receptions and no touchdowns. You said AJ Brown and Chase earlier. Also Flowers and also yes, very good point. Yeah. There are a number that are just doing it without touchdowns right now. Like, who needs touchdowns?
Yeah.
Jason, 12-team Superflex half-point PPR, Saquon or DK? In Dynasty, it's DK. But if you're a competitive team, Saquon.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fair. Like, again, the edge at running back is too great to pass up if you can win this year when he's back on the field. But long-term, wide receivers hold their value better. They tend to have about 1.7, 2 years / longer value and career arcs in terms of number of prime years. So
it may even be Saquon anyway. Like, not to be.
Yeah. To be fair, he's going to be more tradable to more teams by the end of the season, probably. Yeah. I don't know. I would still break it based on where I'm on my team, but yeah, I wouldn't bat an eye if you just wanted to be a running back guy. If your team's structured around that, if you're built for that, if you're built different, then yeah, you can. Yeah, I would say that's fairly even. Musgrave week. Yeah, Musgrave continues to improve. I actually haven't broken down Green Bay or Detroit very well yet. Because for some reason, DLF was like, don't include Thursday players in your article. So I got to skip those 2 teams. But I did take a glance, and Musgrave continues to look pretty impressive. His ADOT came down a little bit, as I expected. But that usage is still there, man. That's pretty good. Again, you got to own I definitely wouldn't have drafted him where he was going. I wouldn't have taken him over Maya for even. Yeah. But yeah, solid. Looking really good so far. I got Musgrave at tight end, Laporta at flex, Josh Downs at flex 2. Would you play A-Chain over any? Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'd say A-Chain over Musgrave and over Downs. Probably not Laporta. Just, but yeah. I can spell Laporta without looking it up. I swear to God. I can't spell Musgrave apparently without looking it up, or at least a second try. Yeah, Devin A-Chain and Sam Laporta are neck and neck between the projectors right now. Like they're joint one. 75% would start both of them as the first option. So yes, A-Chain, Laporta, then Downs, then Musgrave. Yep. If you're looking for a start-sit order. I just don't think Burks is a scheme fit in Tennessee. And this is the kind of narrative reasoning, which may well be true, that I've been able to fade. Because if that is a cause, it's never come full circle unless that's what happened with Robert Woods. Like it's very rare that a player finds the right fit if the fit was the problem.
It's not a scheme fit. I think it's a volume fit.
Huh.
I mean, like
they want to run. You mean
they don't pass, and so it's hard to. I mean, it's honestly that's been the issue with the receivers in Baltimore for the past 3 or 4 years. Is like you look at them and you're like, oh, they're getting great, number of targets, or it's just like.
But again, not to disagree, but to offer why I slightly lean to the other direction. Like I've got the AJ Brown corollary, like a good player in the same offense. Just
again, but it's not
again. That's not saying Zach is wrong. He's right to describe it that way. That's probably accurate. But me, just based on how many times did this happen and that happened, like AJ Brown's can make a difference. Corey Davis's can't. And if Burks is sliding more Davis and Brown, I get concerned. Just to
I agree
articulate
with
the process.
That. Yep.
Yeah. What's too much for A-Chain? Probably fair value at this. If you're on a competitive team, there are running backs you don't necessarily have to invest. I almost think, I don't know. Where's his value right now? Seriously, if you were to offer it in a league, is it easier to trade for Christian McCaffrey or Devin A-Chain? Because the age thing depends on your league a little bit.
Right.
If I'm going for a running back, I'm going for the points, which means I want the certainty of a McCaffrey over the potential value win. Like if I'm looking for value, I'm looking for a receiver. That's why it's literally that longer length of value arcs. So A-Chain's an awkward buy. Hopefully you picked him up in rookie drafts, like, what did you do? I didn't pick him up in everyone either, to be clear. Like you got him where you could, but
the problem
is to play with those guys.
The problem is I think that the teams that have him paid a first.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not getting him for less than that because that's already ingrained in their mind. Plus, he just had a 45-point week. It's a tough place to buy.
No, Mostert had a 45-point week. I think A-Chain had a 60-point week.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it was my fault.
I know you probably thought that and was like, "No, I got to be misremembering that. It can't possibly have been 60 points." On he's on my bench everywhere I've got him. He's on my bench. So that was fun. My bench outscored my team this week. And what's too much? On a competitive team, so you're going for a running back that's young, or you build that way through running backs, which is an option in Dynasty. I've seen what's his name? Scott build through running backs. That's definitely a move he would consider. You're looking to get out at the value of 2 firsts and trying not to send 2 actual firsts. Yeah. Anything more than that is probably too much. Yeah. I don't
want to pay 2 firsts to go get A-Chain. I don't.
No, I don't want to, but I think that I wouldn't be like, oh, you overpaid there. Like I could see the reasoning, if you know what I mean. I'd rather probably go send that plus a little extra or something to get, again, proven guys, because that's the way I target running backs. But if you're playing Dynasty a different way, that move could definitely make sense. Tanking team, sell Kyren Williams. For how much? You're looking for a late first. You're probably not going to get it. And so you target Jordan Addison. You might have to add. You target Josh Downs straight would be interesting. You see him more of as just fine. He's fine, right? So probably not on your list.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go after Downs. Although I mean, he's not bad. I don't know. I'd rather add a second to Kyron Williams and see if I could get into Addison and JSN with what he's doing right now.
How about Sam Laporta? The value is probably on the Laporta side in Dynasty, but you're switching positions for a lesser value position. Add a second to Kyron Williams for Sam Laporta. They might be interested in that. It's a tight end. It's a tight end. How excited could they be? Oh, well, how excited can I be?
Hey, there he is.
Hey, Russ.
How you doing, buddy?
I finished bombing.
What would you say? Sorry, Karen.
I finished bombing my sniper active draft. I go upstairs. My daughter is in my side of the bed asleep. Cool. And Trish is on her side of the bed asleep. And I'm like, well, I can't go to bed. I might as well come back downstairs.
Fair enough. And what would you sell Kyron Williams for? If you're on a tanking team, you've got Kyron Williams. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. What would your first thoughts be? Like, what should I go look for on my other friends' rosters?
Love to be able to pull a late first, like any competing team that wants to give a first for like a workhorse back, even though he shouldn't be a workhorse back. Yeah, but I think I heard you say like Laporta in a second. I think you just said I would love to if I can get like pretty much 2 seconds, right? Like that'd be cool.
Okay.
Like
I think I would say now to add a second to Williams to get Laporta.
Oh yeah, that's much more fair.
Okay.
But like if you can get 2 seconds for him, I think that's probably the ceiling of what you should be able to get. And I think
like target players rather than picks, because 2 seconds is fine. 2 seconds would be nice.
I mean, I
think you could almost do better with a.
But like the other part of that is if you're tanking and you do better, then all of a sudden you have points that you don't.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a bad point.
I like the idea of going to get Laporta. I think that's a nice move. But I'd also rather put a second with Kyron Williams and see if I can get a first or something like that. But
and again, the way I'd answer this for myself, Genji, as I go look at the leagues and the teams in my leagues in my team, and see who's the most competitive, who's clearly the most competitive. Like they know they are. Maybe they don't. You have to ask them. But who you think is clearly the most competitive? What do they have in the value bucket versus a points bucket? And see if you can switch out some points for some value. Like what they roster probably determines what I send more than anything else.
Yeah.
But
kick it down the road a little bit and get Roshan. Because you think you can flip Kyron for Roshan, and then in a couple of weeks you flip Roshan for a first when he takes over that backfield?
I'm not nearly as. Again, this comes down to I'm going to tap out with. I'm not that active and good of a trader, but I kind of If it worked, it would work. If you're good at that, which I think you trade a little bit, right? You're pretty active in the trade, so you could probably make that work. I probably wouldn't. You gotta know yourself sometime. Zach Harris, worried about Trevor Lawrence. It's been rough, no doubt. Think about pivoting to Stroud. I was going to say no, but Stroud's actually really interesting. If you're trying to pivot off Trevor Lawrence, just get the newer version.
If you could get plus, like Stroud plus for Lawrence, then
I'd do that. But I don't know. He's been in the top 12 both of the last weeks. As a person rostering Stroud, like, oh, I'm really tearing up for the player who's underperforming right now.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence. He's really
long
good.
term. I'm not. Yeah.
So like I'm fine. I know it's been he did really the offense did really well week 1. So it's not like they can't be good. So whatever's going on, I hope it just stops. But because last week was not it. But even still, he put up 18 fantasy points. So even if he doesn't look great in real life, he still does well enough in fantasy. And in a bad game to give you 18 points feels pretty good. So pivoting to Stroud, the problem is Stroud's putting up 25 points per game.
Right.
So you're not. If you can get Stroud in a second for Lawrence, you're probably calling that a victory, and that doesn't feel great.
Yeah. So no, you need a plus. Otherwise, you just Stroud's going to have a bad stretch too. Trevor Lawrence is in the middle of a bad stretch. He's also a few years into his career. Stroud's going to get there eventually. Everyone, not even Patrick Mahomes. Well, no, not even Patrick Mahomes has scored 20 points every week of his career. No, so there's always a bad stretch, and Lawrence is just in one of those. Unless you get a plus, it's just
Yeah, 1 for 1, it's just Yeah.
But I do like the idea of targeting Stroud. But Russ just said. They just got back-to-back 25-point games out of him. They're not sleeping. They're not like, oh, this guy seems okay, I guess. They're pretty excited. I would hope. If not, take advantage of it. Sean, Burrow and Chase or Hurts and Waddle? Do I need to win?
What decade is it, Zach, that's still happening?
I don't know what's going on.
I thought that was
Russ.
like your phone ringing near your microphone
No.
or near your speakers.
No.
It's really funny.
This is Burrow and Chase.
It's my mic doing funky things.
I was streaming with Clay on the Dynasty Trades in 5 earlier, and this guy asked the same question. And I literally said, whichever side I have, whatever gets offered to me, I just reject. Because what? Like, of course, if you have a preference, go get the guys you want, but like
this is also just a same position trade through two different. It sucks as a trade.
If you have that strong feeling of I need that rushing quarterback, sure, go get Hurts. Chase and Waddle are. I get it. Chase is the tier above because you have Jefferson and Chase, and then you have where the rest of the people come in. But Waddle to me is still absolutely more than good enough. Burrow and Hurts are going to have. If this is you being worried about Burrow, knock it off. Yeah. Like he'll be fine. Yeah. Again, speaking of having another way of saying it, he should not have played on Monday. He shouldn't have played. No. There was no reason to make him play. So, like, give the guy a rest for a second and just let him go play. So I'm not worried about Burrow if that's what this is. This is one of those whatever makes you happy because this is same position, same tiers, very, 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 very good players on both sides. But if it's me personally, I just reject and saying like this scares me. I'm not going to do anything with it.
You could reframe it as: would you rather have the best wide receiver or the best quarterback in Dynasty Fantasy Football? And in a vacuum, I'll take the quarterback. So Hurts, but this trade sucks outright for a few different reasons. And I think I side with Russ.
Yeah.
Always side with Russ. Chris Danley. Having trouble how to rebuild my bad 16-team Superflex orphan. Can't tank. 101 goes to the winner of the loser bracket.
Find a new league. That's the worst. That's the dumbest thing ever. Short of 2 tight ends. That's worse. But you want to make the worst teams better. You don't want to make the mediocre teams better. There's this literally goes against the point of draft picks. This goes against I'd rather do a lottery than this. This literally defeats the purpose of drafting, of having a fair draft at all. This is not how you do it. I get that my toilet bowls give you the 113, like an extra pick at the end of the first, and a lot of people hate that. But it's better than that. Yeah. This completely ruins the point of being a draft. Being in the middle is supposed to be the worst spot, not the best.
The whole point is that every team's meant to have a path to get better. Otherwise, the league can end.
Yeah, there's literally no way.
And this is trying to limit that because it feels like cheating, but it's not. The rules are the rules, and if you find a way within the rules to try and get better, you should be able to. But that aside, I think Cup and Flowers have better windows coming, so just hold them for right now. Lamar Jackson is the interesting one, and instead of valuing him in draft picks like you ask, CJ Stroud, the guy we just talked about, there should be a value difference between Lamar and Stroud because Lamar's also been putting up points, and that's the way I would go with it. Try and get younger and get an ad. If you can't, then you're just keeping Lamar until you can find someone like that to do it with. I guess you could target Kyler Murray and a first for Lamar or more, actually, at this point. But that's I don't want to get out the elite tier. I either want someone that I think could get there, that's younger and I can get a plus, or I'm just keeping Lamar. And Cup and Flowers, again, Flowers is going to have better games. Cup is going to play eventually, and that's going to be a better window to sell him. So that's where I'm at. Cup for a single first will be a win, though, even when he comes back, to be honest.
If you have these players, your team is probably not terrible, in which case you might do well in the loser bracket. That's just sort of okay. I like what Peter said on tiering down from Lamar, especially if you can get Stroud in a first, which I still think should be the way it is price-wise. I still think Lamar is that top tier. Even again, in a bad week, this game was not good for Lamar. He still put up 28 points. Yeah. But tier down, but make sure you're still scoring points because, again, I greatly disagree with your rules, but it's the league you play in. So hold on to Cup, and when you trade him away, get younger, but make sure it's still someone scoring points because you want to be mediocre in this case, but you want to also get younger if your team is bad because getting old, then you're just going to age your team out and you're going to be super screwed. So I completely agree with what Peter said. Tier down.
You could potentially target Dak. I think he's got more points coming. Decent range of outcomes. You're still going to be scoring points. You're obviously got a value difference there. Maybe.
Like trade down. See, I mean, unfortunately now Kirk Cousins is the QB1, so we can't use him as our base example of a cheap, good scoring quarterback. But like if Garoppolo clears, the concussion protocol, go get him. What you can get on top of him for Lamar is probably going to be crazy. So you can rebuild your team by tearing down from Lamar on its own. Wait for Kupp to come back and start playing because people are still, Puka's the guy. I mean, he is. So sorry, Kupp, you're just on the bench for the rest of your career. And I also agree with Flowers with what Peter said. I was wrong. Like he's better than I thought he would be. Again, it may have just been my Bateman love, but no, like
I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
but also his college profile wasn't perfect, but passed.
Yeah,
water under the bridge.
But I still believed that Bateman would be the dude there, and it seems like it's not. It seems like it's Flowers. In which case, hold on to him because he'll score points, and he's very young, and his value will probably go up from here. So, that's what you got to do. You got to tier down, but still score points because you need to win the freaking loser bracket. I'm sorry. It seems like I showed up and Zach stopped talking.
No, not at all.
No, that just means I speak too much and don't give you things to say. So I'm sorry. I just got excited that I'm here.
No, we got told in the YouTube comments to stop talking over each other. So I'm specifically trying to hush a little bit more. So,
but that's why do you come here if not to hear us talk on top of each other? That's literally what we do.
Not for that. And we've also been talking a lot about Jordan Love. Skandrick here has got strong opinions and not invalid either.
I don't
How
know
do you feel about Love? How do you feel about Jordan Love this season? Is he doing well? Is he a top 12 Dynasty QB? Was the question, I think.
He's around there. Because you get, probably closer to that 15 area. But the reason is because when you have such a low bar set for someone, when they decently exceed it, you push them a little too high up. And I think that's what's going to happen with Love. I really just...
So... Love or Tua? Because Tua is currently the quarterback 15 in Dynasty.
That's also not fair because that wouldn't stand right now as being the QB 15.
But you got Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, Trevor Lawrence. I guess Fields is probably out of there at this point or close. Dak's still up in there. Richardson is still up in there. Murray, maybe not. So maybe he's 12 or 13.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't really think it through. I'm willing to put Jordan Love above Deshaun Watson. Even though, Deshaun Watson seems to be mediocre right now, though that play where he just threw the ball in the wrong direction will forever make me happy. But I don't think he has the ceiling we prayed he would have when he came back. He's not going to he's not going to be what he was on the Texans again. I don't think that's in the cards. In which case, I put him where Tua and Dak used to be. Tua went up, Dak went down, but at that QB 12-ish, where it's like the game of chicken to see who drafts that next QB because it's after the top second tier guys, and it's where you start drafting the AJ Browns and the all of those wide receivers. So Jordan Love belongs to me when you hit that. So QB 12 is Dak Prescott in September, and Daniel Jones, CJ Stroud, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Geno. Jordan Love belongs anywhere in there you want to put him to be. And like I said, when I stopped and thought about QB 15-ish area,
and that's
feels Daniel Jones-esque.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, it's not if he's down there, that's fine. That's a great place to acquire him. And if you drafted him and held him, or if you traded for him before the season, then you're a winner.
Yeah, if you paid a second for Jordan Love, or even like a late first, you feel great about it. I don't know if he's going to stay this good or get better, because like his touchdown percentage is ridiculous.
Yeah, and
but also like, okay, so this is not comparing the two players whatsoever, but like I ride on the fact saying I'm never going to be worried about Joe Burrow's touchdown percentage. I'm worried about Jordan Love's touchdown percentage. Like, you know, they're very different players.
Right.
But still, like, I think he will settle down in that very usable 20 points per game where there's 8 of them any given season. And again, he's a great QB2 for your team, for your fantasy team. Maybe he'll have a spike week and give you points, but
I mean, he's at
and to your point on these stats, Skandrick, I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I quoted. I think air yards per attempt is the only one in here that doesn't give a boost to touchdowns, which is the whole point. And to your point here in the second one, yes, but stats don't work in a vacuum. You can't just order by 1 point and say, see how many good ones are, therefore this is equals good. That touchdown rate combined with a completion percentage that's above borderline abysmal. It's a signal there. You can't just take one and order it and they say there's a historic QB.
I think you're also missing the fact that we're not saying that he's bad, but we're saying that currently him being QB4 in points is being buoyed so much by touchdowns, and the way he's scoring touchdowns, the rate he's scoring touchdowns isn't sustainable. So he's going to have to do something else to be in that range.
But also, in fairness to this, we haven't seen their real offense yet. Christian Watson is hopefully playing this week. Aaron Jones is hopefully playing this week. In 2 weeks, we'll have a much better idea of what this team is really going to look like. You know, for better or worse, Christian Watson will probably be taking a lot of targets away from guys like Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed, unfortunately. So, and it's because he'll earn them, and he's a very different player than those guys are. So what they're doing now is going to be different than what they do in 2 weeks. So whether that's good for him, whether it's bad for him, I have absolutely no idea. But it's never a bad thing to start off this good. It's just that, again, first of all, when it's so different from expectations, it's going to lead to people overcorrecting and getting too excited when the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Don't get me wrong. Maybe he's an outlier and maybe he's fantastic. It very well could be the case. But you usually don't bet on that. Like someone being that good,
outside of fair value,
when they weren't that high rated of a prospect coming in. So again, not a bad thing to start off with.
Daniel Jones take.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Brandon Wu.
No, like, me trying to be nice and you just saying the truth is usually how we go anyway.
12 team half-point PPR. Should I trade Olave, Pacheco,
no,
and Waller for Kelsey, Breece Hall, and Jahan Dotson? I'm not that interested in Jahan Dotson, but I like the other things. I don't think it's enough for Olave, though.
Nope.
Breece Hall and Olave's kind of...
Okay, if this were 5-6 weeks from now, when Hall is much more healthier and the Jets have a new quarterback, I would probably feel better about it. But right now, even I am so excited to see Jameis and Olave together. Like, I forgot who I was. I think like Addison was like, yeah, he's gonna have an 8 out of like 40, and it's gonna be great. Like, I'm gonna love it. Like, it's. But like, even with Carr, Olave is just so good. Like, and like we were so excited last year when Olave had a 600-yard season, but like he's doing it for real this year, and it's real as opposed to Andy Dalton and Olave missing a couple of games. Like our Olave takes are being proven correct, in which case, like, he's that dude. So he's gonna stay a top 7 wide receiver for now, for a while probably. And while I love the Kelsey points, I love Breece Hall as a player, but running back situation matters so much more. and the Jets situation is not a good one. So, like, I think you're hurting your team a little bit with this move, but getting Kelsey is never a bad thing.
I think you're hurting your tradable value, but sometimes you do spend that to get a better starting team, and I think Kelsey and Hall are a better starting team. Again, if you're on one of those highly competitive windows, sure, but you definitely like Russ said, you got to lean the young, good wide receiver in the top 12 there for Dynasty in general.
I do like the idea of Dotson. I'm a little sad at how Howell is doing. Like, I thought week 1 was good. He had a really bad interception and a really bad fumble, but besides that, he looked like he was playing pretty well. Week 2 and 3 have not gone that way. So, like, Jahan Dotson, I had higher hopes for when I thought Howell would be playing better, because Dotson has at least showed he could score touchdowns. And when someone is low on your starting list as Dotson would be, that's what you really want. You want him to be scoring touchdowns. If you believe in Dotson, if you believe in Brees and have the patience for Brees, I do. This trade is good. This trade can turn into your favor quickly when Pacheco just becomes another Jag. Like, I didn't see the game, and I don't know if it's because they checked out, but CEH had like 15 carries last week.
All the starters came out.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but like, and Waller up and down. He's not scoring touchdowns now, but last year he showed that he can do it. When Dotson was healthy last year, every game he played, he was in the end zone. Whether he caught the ball or not, he was getting the targets. But the 2 healthiest games he had, he scored 2 touchdowns each game. The answer is
unsustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, the more I stare at this, the more I'm like, yeah, like, if you're gonna lose Olave, you might as well get Kelsey and Brees Hall.
Yeah.
It's not right now for Brees Hall, and that's
how you stack your starting lineup. Sometimes you got to spend a little shiny thing.
Brees Hall is one of 2 running backs that I would actively like be trading for to like think about the future.
So yeah, like, at first I didn't want to do this because it's Olave and because I think he is that dude. Kelsey, we know for a fact, is going to be that dude for as long as he decides to play, and I believe in Brees Hall. Even last year when the Jets were bad, he was doing well because he was healthy. So let him get healthy. And again, hopefully they do something better at quarterback.
His workload's increasing as he gets more healthy. And we saw what he could do with a small workload in week 1. So, like, yeah, Brees Hall's. Yeah, I think that helps you out more this season. I don't think Hall loses his value at the end either. So, Toronto Day says, little emoji guy with a party hat.
I love that guy.
Genji, can I drop Dotson for Ronnie Bell already? Yes.
Sure. If you want. In redraft? Yeah.
Yeah,
Dotson will be waiting for you if you change your mind. No one's picking him up.
Hurry up. Never. Okay, we're trying to hurry up. Brendan Turlington traded Puka Flowers and a 24 first and 26 first for Josh Allen, Dallas Goedert. Would you have made this trade? With my QB room is now Allen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Stroud, and Purdy. Don't think I can move the QBs at value right now.
Why?
I would be surprised if you can't get value for Allen, but whatever. Or Hurts. But,
why? I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. But, like, you were going to have Lawrence, Stroud, and Purdy on the bench. And if you can't move them, why did you bring in another one?
No, he's not. Not if you're John Hogue. You stream those guys. This is a QB extra. I get it. Value-wise, QB.
Sure. John and I butt heads on this one mostly because I hate making decisions and I hate having depth. But also part of QBX really is to hold it over other people's heads. And if you can't move them, it might as well be a 1 quarterback league. And if this is a 1 quarterback league, man, did you overpay?
This is why me and John Hogue fight too. Like, the trade's fine, by the way. I think the trade's actually pretty solid to get Josh Allen.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, to add him to a stable of streaming QBs,
really good.
Yeah. But if you can't move Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Stroud for value in your league, then you're going in the opposite direction to how to play in that league. But yeah, the trade's fine.
Unless your team is that,
and I don't know your league. You do.
Yeah.
Burke's playing Hurt. That's what we said last year.
Is he though? Is he though? I don't actually know the answer.
Snap share was really high.
Burt's playing hurts me.
There you go. Genji, Quentin Johnson, late night news. I already I already hope he's good. I need it. And it's
news?
still, like I tried to explain this in my article this week, you're still betting on the rookie profile. There's no data to suggest he's good or bad. We know he hasn't shown anything yet. Some players take longer to show something, but the injury doesn't help or hurt that. Like if he's going to be good, he was going to be good anyway. And so far through 3 weeks, we've got like a red zone target to show for it. So it's still late first value. It's just a value better right now. But I don't think Mike Williams technically should help him out. Like Josh Palmer's perfectly capable. We've seen him do it.
Here's my thing on this, and I used Zach's metaphor. At least I gave you credit for it. I don't remember if you said
bag of hammers. That's my favorite Zach metaphor.
What is?
Bag of hammers.
Yeah, so like I was calling a positional advantage a hammer.
Yeah,
and then a guy had like Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle, and so you have a bag of hammers.
Yeah. So here's my thing. Well, yes, Mike. First of all, hashtag Team Clemson big wide receiver Mike Williams. Sorry to see you go, man. Here's why I like Quentin Johnston a little more right now, because he's not completely formed as an NFL wide receiver. Like I don't think he's super ready to walk in and be what Mike Williams was. So Mike Williams not being there is going to give Josh Palmer a bigger role, which might relegate Quentin Johnston to just being the deep guy, which is a great start. Like, remember, like DK Metcalf, his rookie year, the first and only smart thing the Seahawks have ever done until they, drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba just to not use him, was start out by just running DK Metcalf straight. Just go. And then they slowly started to work routes into his tree and slowly started to keep moving him a little more complicated, move him around, do a little few different things. I think that would be great for Quentin Johnston. So being able to just actually get on the field and just be the deep guy, it's not going to be great for fantasy right now, but I think it's good for the player long term. Like, so again, it's not like that he's the wide receiver handcuff that's going to do well because Mike Williams is out, because Josh Palmer is very good. He's always filled in great on that team. But I think this will give Quentin Johnston an ability just to get on the field and in an easier role than what he should be in. Like, he shouldn't be Mike Williams because he's not ready for that yet, though. That's my hope in the future. Like, that was
doesn't have to finish the season as Mike Williams or a top 24 wide receiver even. But all I'm saying is I would have expected whether Mike Williams was healthy or not. And over the course of the season, he just has to show something. So he's still the same bet, is all I'm saying.
Don't forget, most rookie wide receivers don't hit till the second half of the season.
Well, and even when Mike Williams,
I thought it was most. I'm not sure actually.
No, like if they're going to hit year one, it's usually not right away. Like you get some that do just because they're that good, but like usually it takes time and a couple of weeks before.
Even Justin Jefferson was 4 weeks in before he did anything. I know this because I traded Michael Thomas to go get Justin Jefferson in a league where Michael Thomas was doing Michael Thomas things before he hurt his toe, and Justin Jefferson was doing nothing because
I've been looking it up on a weekly basis. I know season long, I found it to be pretty. I actually found it to be players show up earlier rather than later, but it's not a clear enough split, I would say, one way or the other. But some take longer, some don't. But yeah, I don't know which one happens more often. Haven't figured that out yet. Sorry, this guy paid money to someone, so we should probably talk about him. A to Z, 12-team Dynasty Superflex start 10 tight end 1.5 premium 0-3 record. Traded Pittman and Dubs for a 24 and 25 first.
Awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah. Mahomes, Murray, Pickett, ETN, Chubb, Waddle, Godwin, Commit are bums. Commit's a bum, sure. Likely rebuilding. Yeah, you did really well in that trade. I would say, obviously, since you're heading in that direction, ETN's doing really great. And someone should be interested in him. I'd be interested in shopping it. Yeah.
I love how Isaiah Likely's name completely throws me off. Like for a second, I thought that we were still talking about tight ends, and that it's capitalized also. I'm like, Likely rebuilding. Okay, yeah, no, Likely fits in with a rebuild. Wait, no.
Obviously, Chubb isn't someone you can move to a building team. I think Pickett might be enticing, but I think both he and Godwin have better windows coming this season. So maybe just light shop it. So yeah, ETN seems like you're clear. Like Chubb,
get rid of
Murray,
the running backs.
they're not going to hurt
Godwin
your
is
point.
doing well enough that you could probably move him. Yeah. He you started out really good, so
I think Godwin's going to have some touchdown games here, and that'd be the week I'd be looking to trade him. But yeah, I would soft sell it and see if anyone's really interested right now.
Yes, sir.
But ETN's one's having a really good season so far, so someone should be like, he's young, he's good, he's scoring points. They should be willing to give up gold from. Thank you for all the great work, guys. We sit here and we talk. Great. No, appreciate it. Thank you. Genji, wow, you guys are laughing at my pain right now. Yes.
Must have been Peter. I would never do anything like that, Genji.
If you can't laugh, you cry. So that's what you got to do. Sorry.
EJD, if you want value to fill out your lineup, Josh Palmer. Also have been impressed with Calvin Austin, who is essentially a rookie.
He's not terrible.
Yeah.
That offense is terrible.
Yeah. I kind of don't want to go in the offense list there. Yeah. But yeah, he had a pretty good week. How's Rashi looking through 3 weeks? Bad. Week 1 was good. Week 2 and 3 sucked. He's still the only wide receiver on the team I'm interested in, though. If that helps.
Wait, didn't he score some points this week?
Yeah, he saw 7 targets and had 5 catches.
I didn't see the game. All I know is the points I looked at. But
yeah. He should get more involved. Seriously, the team's getting more at him in terms of EPA basis, how each player helps to win the game. He's the only player who's got like positive points outside of Kelsey. So they should get him more involved. But it's a rookie, and if you believe narratives, Andy Reid doesn't like using rookies apparently. But no, he's doing pretty well himself. His volume's not quite there yet, but apparently last week was pretty solid.
I mean, they just missed. They just missed having him score again too.
Ooh, that would have been nice.
Yeah, he had a nice block though.
Somebody. Yeah, it counts in those blocking leagues. Points per block. Joe, traded Jerome Ford and a 25 first Garrett Wilson.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. So fast, do that.
Yeah. Good
capitalize.
Work,
capitalize.
Look at you dynastying all over the place, Joe. Good job. Genji, heck yeah, Joe. Yeah, we agree with that. I'm trying to get 2 seconds. Got rejected. Sad. It's pretty sad. Single second for Kyron. Oh, come on, guys. Be a little more interested in winning.
I mean, it's rough right now because the Rams just had such a bad game last week.
That's fair.
But Kyron, he's the only running back there, literally. I'm sure they have another one on the roster, so he's going to keep getting the ball.
Yeah, he's going to have more good games.
Yeah.
I actually think that's it. Titans wanted to replace AJ Brown, so they took Burks, but he's not even close to the same type of athlete, in my opinion. Watson would have been the better pick in that case.
I don't think it's the athleticism. I think that he's not nearly as savvy as AJ Brown as a route runner. Even coming out of college, that was a thing.
I wonder if people
I don't think
what AJ Brown was in college at this point.
AJ Brown was so good.
He wasn't and he wasn't a 1. He wasn't an X because it was him and DK, and he was people were not sure that he could be the guy because of DK being next to him.
But he was the guy when he 6 games he was.
They switched out when one was injured. The other guy was the guy. Yeah.
But he was. I remember wanting AJ Brown to be drafted by the Seahawks because he reminded me of a better Doug Baldwin. AJ Brown was fine.
First time I've heard that, Colin.
I think he was really good at finding the zone, empty spots in the zone, and then doing something very good with it. Following around when I saw a couple of plays, broken down plays, where AJ Brown just found himself in the right place every single time, and I'm just and this was right as Doug Baldwin was on his way out and going he was still on the team, I think, but not good anymore. And I was just this is what Russell Wilson needs. He needs this, and then they drafted DK Metcalf, and at least it worked out. But I remember wanting AJ Brown, but it was never because he was gonna be the X. He was it was never he was gonna be the dude. Like, I just thought he was a very, very good, talented wide receiver. He turned out to be more to me. So, like, I don't think you easily replace that as you think. And yes, the way it happened, when it happened, it felt like they just swapped out Brown and replaced Burks because of the timing and the fact that they traded for the pick and all of that. But a lot of money had to do a lot more with that than anything else.
I would sell Calvin Austin, but free off the waiver wire, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If you can get him for a third, like, you don't have to pay a second for him. Like, he's not a bad stash.
Meh. I mean, to be fair, just pick up the wide receiver that Pittsburgh drafts or adds to their roster. It's been a high hit rate relative to other teams, but Bonzera, hi guys, quick question. What do you think about trading thirds for injured players like Mike Williams for a team that are only competing 24? Solid. Buy injured is a solid strategy. Thirds are almost worth nothing. I kind of go both ways with thirds and fourths. I think just acquiring them en masse is a good way, or trading them constantly just for injured players or flex options or injured older players. I think it's a really solid way to go as well. Yeah, that's the shortest way I can say all of that.
I don't have the guts for that. It hurts to see my roster. Like, it's a smart move because it could pay off both in value and in points when it happens. But like, that's not my style. But it's not a bad move. Mike Williams specifically, it's so hard to, every time he gets hurt, it's hard to see him coming back and being, even what he used to be now isn't what he should have been through all of these injuries. And with Quentin Johnston and with Josh Palmer being as good as they are, him specifically, again, it's a third, so who the hell cares? Sure. But, like, manage your expectations.
Took Stroud at 105, and I love it. I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm really glad I said, like, I don't see why Stroud is default the last quarterback taken on the list this year, because he's a really good quarterback in college.
It's because you had three really good options.
Anthony Richardson upside. Yeah. I know, but I'm just happy I mentioned it. For a guy who doesn't do a lot of quarterback evaluation, feels like I got something right for just following the ADP.
I like Stroud more than Young because I got so used to saying their name in that order, Stroud and Young, that I just started to believe I like Stroud more, so I stick with it.
That's about as complex as I had it. It's like, well, that's pretty good. And this one's cheaper, so cool. With Caleb team 2. Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, that's going to, hopefully that doesn't hurt your prospects of being a Caleb team, but there you go. The one team where I really need to be a Caleb team, like I cannot get my first back for anything, especially where I've put my roster. Like I got nothing to offer for it. I put 20 points like last week.
And you gotta be like Russ and spike compete.
I've thought about it actually, but
I'm pulling it off in TA1, man. And now I get Christian Watson back. I'm ready for it. And then now the guy starts offering, like I'm 2-1. Or I can't remember if I'm 2-1 or 1-2. Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, I am 2-1, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th most points when I wanted to rebuild. And this guy wouldn't give me my first. Now he's trying to give me my first. And I'm like, there's no point now. I'm not getting the 101, so stop trying to make it like that. And it sucks because I would still love to, at least get my 2015 back so I can just crap out after this season, but not going to happen. So yeah, no, I'm going to compete for as long as people won't give me my first back for a reasonable price. And don't get me wrong. Yeah. You're a little screwed with, if you're talking TA7 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough league. That is very top heavy.
It's top heavy. No one trades, and no one will trade for anything other than I clearly win. It's like almost impossible to make a move for me. Like I tried with that Murray move with you, but that's essentially how I moved my first, and now it's biting me in the ass because you traded it on. I think that's what happened. But I tried. Yeah. I mean, it's the best move I can make with that kind of setup. But yeah. Puff Pass Kick. Holy Kiki Kute, it's Russ. Wow, if I'm behind. Hey, other two regulars. Nice to see. Yeah, and the other two. Russ and the other two. That's the new name. Scribbles. Superflex tight end premium non-contender. Daniel John Richardson and Bryce at QB. Where would you go? Picks hard to acquire.
if you're not contending, the answer is young wide receivers because you're good at quarterback with Richardson and Bryce. Wait till Daniel Jones has a good game and see if you can get a first for him.
For something, yeah.
I mean, Daniel Jones should be worth a first. He's shown, like, even the Giants have not been good this season. He still has a game with 28 fantasy points. Of course, he has 8 the other 2. But, you know, like, after a good stretch, see if you can get a first for him. And if you can give a first for him, then absolutely do it. But otherwise, you're really good.
Yeah, if you can do anything like Genji says to target Kyler, you're trying to get Daniel Jones off your roster when he has a good game. I think that's a solid idea.
But also, like, just because Stroud is doing really well and Bryce is okay, that doesn't mean Bryce is bad.
No, Bryce will probably be good again. Yeah.
Like, first of all, like, I would rather be throwing to Tank Dell and Nico Collins at the moment than the bones of Adam Thielen and
DJ Chark
and DJ. Like, yeah, like, neither of these teams are very good, but at least the Texans have young, fast players. Which honestly, I felt a little differently coming in. Like, I thought I thought Young would be solid because he's throwing to solid players. But also, man, I love me some Tank Dell, but I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
2 tanks. Do you think Willis gets a crack in the Tennessee if Tanny continues this path? I mean, maybe Jordan Love exists, but I'd be surprised if you didn't see it sooner rather than later. If like, it's going to happen.
The fact that Levis still isn't active is rough, but like, look, cool. Crash for Caleb or whatever you want to do. Tannehill absolutely isn't the future. If anything, put Malik out there to see if maybe you can get a 3rd or 4th round pick for him from someone else. You know, like, it's worthwhile to see if you get that spark if you don't want to just lose. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to keep Ryan Tannehill out there right now because I think this is the last year of his contract, or at least this is the last year where it doesn't make sense to not cut him.
Right.
So there's no reason to keep playing him, and he's playing so poorly.
Team's made it pretty clear he's not got the job next year, though. I don't know. I'd be motivated, but whatever. Got rejected. Would you do both?
Both Daniel Jones
he's talking about Daniel Jones. Now keep Breece Hall. Richardson, if you can find someone as hyped as we could be on Richardson, but you're probably going to have to wait for good games here, dude. There's not much you can do about that.
If you can get top 10 quarterback numbers for Richardson, which you should be able to because he's going to play this week, I would trade. I would, again, if you have your first and you don't want to score points and you can't like loophole by putting Richardson on your taxi squad, like, I'm fine trading Richardson, especially if you can get a haul for him because like it could turn into Justin Fields at any given moment, you know? So, but like, I'd rather not, like, because having Richardson and Bryce as your core of a rebuild is really good.
12 team 1 QB, start 8. Give London, get Keenan Allen. Non-dynasty, man. I mean, redraft, sure. For this year, sure. I think London has to carry more value right now.
Yeah, he does.
Start 8, like, just to get
Keenan in your lineup. Fair point. Yeah. No.
You'll love it for a couple of weeks, and then if you don't win, you're gonna hate yourself for it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really what it is.
Just
a heads up.
Yeah, I'd rather trade London for somebody else. But
I love getting Keenan on your team.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson or an open roster spot?
An open roster spot has value.
It does.
It's the Simpsons, the comic book store. This is an arm drawn by no one. It is worth nothing.
Open roster
Tua
spot.
so easily. Well, in a vacuum, I would take Tua over so easily as well. So,
yeah.
What's CJ Stroud's ceiling? Top 5 dynasty QB by the end of the season.
You think his ceiling's that high?
I think he's borderline there right now.
Pretty close. I mean, like probably
a rookie QB going off for 20 points a game.
Like at this point, I figure
Jordan Love's doing it, Peter.
Huh?
He's not a rookie though.
Like I feel like another few games and he'll be like replacing Fields, like level wise.
Yep.
But
he's above. I would take him over Fields right now. And
no, like that. Like Ryan McDowell a day or two ago did a poll, like, which would you rather have? It was Fields or Stroud, and it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
No, easily Stroud.
But I think Stroud has put himself up in that end of the first round of startup areas already. Yeah. But to jump players like Lamar or Herbert, I think
I'm not jumping them over my top 5, but I'm putting them in that value category, if that makes sense. I still got, Allen, Mahomes, and Herbert, and Lamar. And then you've got Joe Burrow, then CJ Stroud. Oh, sorry. Hurts is up there with Allen and Mahomes. Yeah. Forgot that.
Which is exactly. And after those players you said is where Lawrence and Fields have been landing. And that's kind of where I think Stroud is most likely going to put himself very quickly.
Yeah. Ceiling is Justin Herbert. Okay. Settle down. Let other people do that.
Now, here's my thing. I don't think I can't speak for Genji, but saying your ceiling is Justin Herbert is, to me, equivalent to saying the ceiling of a good pocket passer, because Herbert doesn't run.
I think that's what it means.
I mean, Herbert's a great pocket passer. They throw 700 times a year with him.
Yeah, but Justin Herbert would have to have an historic year to score as many fantasy points as Jalen Hurts on a very good year.
Yes.
That's more of what I meant to try and say.
Not going to argue that. John loves sticks. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
I'll
was Jay Gilesing that one.
Loves A Flowers. What do you think he's being used more exclusively on shorter routes? Yeah, he's being used because two of his weeks, his ADOT was 2.6. The offense just operates that way.
They don't have time to let long routes develop.
Again, though, for players that operate in their lower sub 10 ADOT, you need volume, and that's what he does. DeAndre Hopkins worked inefficiently in that role for years. Not that he's DeAndre Hopkins. Keenan Allen is another good player. They're a path to being a top 12 dynasty asset like that. I'm not quite there with Flowers, but that's a solid role we've seen before. It's not gadgety because you have a lower ADOT. You're gadgety if you're Rondell Moore. I mean, it's more what Puka's role looked like for the first 2 weeks. I wish people would
Rondell Moore, RB1.
Not you, Scribbles. I love Zay Flowers, but why are they using?
That's all they can afford to do right now, because their offense isn't clicking yet. They need time. It's a new offense.
From a definition word standpoint, wide receivers own their ADOT, so that's where Zay Flowers flourishes. So he's working there because that's how he works best in an NFL offense. Having said that, we have seen evidence like Chosen Anderson, for example, and a few others switch ADOTs in different teams, suggesting that players actually don't own their ADOT, and that's necessarily the only place they flourish. But that's all kind of a technical definition thing aside. Zay Flowers is going to probably have a 10 or lower ADOT while he's in the NFL. It's not that bad. Lots of great players do that. Just don't, all that can be true. I'm not quite there on him yet, but doesn't discount him from that potential. Frank N. Sorry if this was asked. That's okay. Bit late tonight. That's okay too. So are we. What are we doing with sell hard? I was selling hard week 2. I was questioningly selling before the season started, and fully on board in the panic train. Are we holding or abandoning ship? Abandon that ship, I can't think of a joke that isn't poor taste. Like a very bad father. Abandon that ship like you are a very bad father. I can't. Yeah,
Peter,
you need out. Oh, you need out. You do not need this responsibility. It was forced on you. Sorry.
Go out for milk and cigarettes and just never come home.
The job is on the line at this point. I mean, I'm still rooting for the player, but it's not working.
So, all I can really hope, like I said before, I was just on with Clay on the Trades in 5, and I ranted about Fields because that's something they do at the end of the show. They're like, give us a player to talk about, and our guest is going to talk about him for a couple of minutes. I'm like, all right, well, I can talk about anything for a couple of minutes. Let's go. And they chose Justin Fields. I believe in the player.
They did not know what they walked into there, didn't they? Instead a couple minutes,
it's their own fault. I like Justin Fields. I believe in the player. And we've seen what he can be when a front office doesn't get in their own way. And unfortunately, that's what they're doing again. Like, I think someone said it in here at some point, like he was bad for the first couple of weeks last year also, but it has nothing to do with the player. Again, it was them trying to make him be a pocket passer and only running 4 design plays in the first 2 games. Like, they're not setting him up to succeed. But also, positively, he was drafted really early, in which case, even if he flames out on the Bears, he's going to get another starting chance somewhere else. Because it's not like Trey Lance. Like, it'll take a while for him to fall to Trey Lance area. So I believe in Fields. Like, if I can get Fields for a late first, I'm good with that. I would do that. I've wasted firsts much worse than on a chance on Fields. And it seems like you can get Fields for a single first. So, like, I am not selling him for that at all, because all it will take is one game of him being screw this, I'm just taking over, and start running, and he can put up 30 points by accident. So, like, I'm starting him whenever he's playing, and I'm having faith in him as long as he's on a team.
This is going to be the Dynasty Dummies episode, or at least part of the Dynasty Dummies episode this week, is the quarterback, the NFL quarterback, the fantasy quarterback, and where that crosses and where that is not necessarily the same thing.
I'm just saying it might be time to go to the store for those cigarettes. I'll be back in a little while. Just putting it out there. Everyone needs cigarettes from the store sometimes. Does anyone else despise Ritter as much as I do? I don't despise Ritter. That's a little... Personally, I don't think he's very good at the NFL level. Maybe that's...
4 weeks ago, Peter, we primed Scribbles and everybody else in the chat for this. We primed them. We said this was going to happen. They drafted a running back, 8th overall. Desmond Ritter is not very good. They don't want to throw, and he can't throw, so it's a match made in heaven between Ritter and Arthur Smith. And so, yes, London is good. Yes, Pitts is good. It doesn't matter. If your pie is this big, the piece of it is this big, even though it's a big piece of that small pie.
The only consolation I've got for you here, Scribbles, is we got the the route distribution right. They're targeting and routing the players you would expect. It just, like Zach says, like a very small piece of a very terrible pie is just... it's what it is. Genji, I've been starting Brees. I'll never bench. Good job.
If you have him, you have to start him. It just doesn't feel great right now.
It'll be better. Dawson doesn't score touchdowns. I mean, so neither does AJ Brown. Neither does screw touchdowns. Frankly.
I mean, he did at the beginning of his career. Like, that was last year. That was the buoyed by touchdowns.
And that's what I was talking
Jacoby
about.
Myers.
I know.
Touchdowns eventually, so hopefully Dawson won't get. I'm not particularly in on Dawson. Like, Terry McLaurin was interesting as long as Dawson was hyped. Put it that way. Yeah. He doesn't get targets too. Not anymore. Sam Laporta or Fairmouth. You hush, Scribbles. You don't bring that evil on here. And a 25.
Well, I mean, it's the first, but
yeah.
But I like Laporta over Freiermuth. I would take Peter.
I hate Kenny Pickett. I hate Kenny Pickett so bad.
Kenny Pickett is to Desmond Ritter as...
It's not his fault. Don't get me wrong. I don't actually hate the person, but goddamn. That offense. Yeah, rough. But yeah.
Small hands. Smell like the spare. Pittsburgh quarterbacks.
I don't think Love is top 12 right now. My question was, what would he have to see from him? Okay, yeah. I
More
need
of
to
this.
see sustaining the production without the touchdown rate. Essentially, one way or the other. Stashes Jalen Guyton.
Like he's been good. Like he has been good. You can't take that away from him. He's been good, but his completion percentage is bad.
Yeah.
His some of the markers that we like to see.
Who's JJ? Anyway. I thought JJ hit week 2. I thought
just 3. He hit week 3
for the screen.
It was week 3.
What are we talking about?
Justin Jefferson.
When Justin Jefferson started to do Justin Jefferson.
It was week 3. And then he had a down week 4, and then he came back like a vengeance in week 5 and beyond. Not that I know Justin Jefferson, because I
don't see
you paid no attention whatsoever. We need Deontay back. I don't think even Deontay can help that team out right now.
It won't hurt to get him back, but it's not going to fix anything.
Hey, Hollywood Titan. Someone finally addressing me. Just saying. Not a hey, Zach. Hey, look, it's Russ. Finally worth paying attention to. Finally, someone look. Hey, Pete.
Hey, Pete.
Thank you, Zach.
Don't
Chef TB. What does Antonio Gibson go for these days? I mean, if I could get a ham sandwich, you know, I was feeling pretty pecky.
Like you're not getting ham and cheese. You're just getting ham.
Just
ham and bread. Maybe
mayo?
A little bit of mayo. Not enough to even cover the sandwich.
Oh,
but
no.
You're going to have to add your own mayo. I don't even eat it. So, you know, don't have it in stock. Sorry. EJD, who is worse? Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, or T. Higgins? Really? T. Higgins?
I would rather have T. Higgins at quarterback than Wilson.
Yeah.
It hurt. So I'm sad I watched the game on Monday. Like, I wish I just saw 2 catches for something and had been like, all right, maybe it was just whatever. He got hit in the hands at least twice and just dropped the ball. It was not his game on Monday. Like, he was just, I don't know what was going on, but like, forget it. Like, okay, week 1 happened. It's gone. He showed that he still can play because week 2 happened. But like I just broke my chair. Last week, it was just, like just
that noise. That's the breakdown. Record it. Put it up. Yeah, Zach Wilson's the worst player.
Yeah, I would rather have the empty roster spot.
Desmond Ridder or Zach Wilson?
Ridder.
There you go. Kevin got off at 2 seconds in 24 for Kyron. Yeah, it's fair. It's fine. Yeah, 12.
You take that.
You probably take that.
If you don't want the points, that's good.
Unfortunately, that is a problem with shopping with the depth of your running back. It's like no one ever really wants to go, and here's a first. So 2 seconds isn't a first. It's just low value. But, I mean, yeah it's probably what's fair. That's what I'm trying to get, Kevin.
Yeah.
That was from Genji. Despise Arthur Smith and Fontinot. I don't know how to say that. For passing up on Lamar. Yeah, that was right.
Oh, was this?
I'm still mad at Belichick for passing on Lamar.
I was about to say because he hates. He's longer on that hate list.
Yeah, and they had Brady at the time.
Yeah.
They took Sony Michel, and I was
reading about
wait.
I was
Didn't
so
Patrick
mad.
Mahomes fall to like the 20th pick? So we could be mad at a whole bunch of different teams when you think about it.
Yeah,
Mahomes?
I mean,
did he go that far down?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that
would have
Andy
to
Reid
look that
traded
up.
back into the first again. I do remember that.
Was it? I thought he was picking the teams, but
it still might be the teens. You're right.
I remember reading about like Bill Belichick starting to be enamored with the running quarterbacks, and he would talk about Cam Newton and stuff like that. So like the idea that they would grab him at 32 was all there, and it
teed it up.
10th for Mahomes.
Yeah,
was it? Oh, yeah. Wow. I remember it being, but yeah, I remember that.
Maybe you're thinking of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know.
Giving up on Higgins already? No, check the wallpaper,
Never.
man. He's never. Besmirch. Never. Hayden Hurst. He plays in the NFL. It's about the most positive thing I can think to say about the man. Ryan Tannehill hasn't been bad, to be fair. Hasn't he? I thought he'd been pretty bad.
Well, that offense in general, like it's not.
The offense.
He hasn't been given the best opportunity to do well, but he's not doing well anyway.
He did throw for 100 yards.
Wide
last
receiver. Reasonable trade for Fields. Trying to dump him. That's a better question.
Take a first and a second if you want to get out.
You need a first plus if that's how to get out, and that players are probably a better way to go because that's too low for his upside. But no, first and a second. Whatever Russ said. That. Kid Coop. Oh, how you're still going? Yeah, we normally hear around there, but good evening, gents. Hey, Kid Coop. Especially when Russ turns up. Come on. Let's pass kicks. Zach, this was the week to drop the song we talked about over the summer. A-Chain in the membrane. True.
No, you can't. It's not A-Chain in the membrane.
Yeah.
He said his name is Devon Achan.
That's not what I'm calling it.
You could be H. You could do it that way.
Nope.
As long as you got the beat, everyone know what it is. That's right. I mean, people still need to list Ken Walker as Ken. I'm just saying. Skandrick, trade Fields for Love. Plus. Love plus. Yeah. I don't like that. But I guess. Well, you still can. Nothing redeemable in Fields' play as of late. You really shouldn't like Love then. I mean, that's just Love a little further down the line, my man. And at least Fields has shown the rushing, but yeah, sure. Don't trade for Jordan Love.
He's also completed a better percentage of passes than Love. Like, not to be
he's been in college and the NFL for that. Yeah. Fields will be sitting behind a rookie next year.
That could possibly
that is
very
trending that way.
But I also don't fully blame that on him. The coaching staff is doing no favors, and they're supposed to. They're supposed to help their players succeed, not just.
I mean, to be fair, the Josh Allen corollary, where a team literally actually schemes what's best for the QB, is pretty rare. And not that it's not wrong, but it's pretty rare. I think Gino might be a second data point on that. They really seem to have worked him into a way that he can play in the NFL, if you know what I mean.
Like that's what it's called being a good coaching staff. Like you're supposed to coach and scheme around what you have, not try and turn people what you want them into, because that doesn't work.
Yeah, that's bad. In my opinion, that's the definition of bad coaching. Anyone still believe in Najee? A little bit. No, I still believe in the player. I think that team is god awful. I think he's still in the rushing attempts and a few targets. I think they're really just trying to be too cute with the Jalen Warren thing. But
that's fine.
It's going to be rough if you're rostering a Pittsburgh player this year. That's just
yep.
Fields was bad until week 5 last year. Yeah.
Again, it had nothing to do with the player. It had to do with the fact that that's when they let him run the ball.
What? Yeah. I mean, he was not great for as a quarterback. Anyway, he was good for fantasy.
He has not elevated his passing to the NFL level, regardless of anything.
But also,
that's
a hurt Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool aren't going to help you get there. Like even week 1 of the preseason, DJ Moore had 6 catches for 70 something yards and a touchdown, and we're like, yes, this is it. This is what we hoped for, and then they didn't do that in the real season. It just they're bad. Their coaching staff is bad. They need to go away.
12-team 1 QB start 8. Give Garrett Wilson, get Keenan Allen on 24 first. Not enough for Wilson. But I get it on a competitive team, you're almost balancing it there. So I might. If that team looks like it's bottom 5, yeah.
It seems like you just want to get your starting points in especially a start 8. But if you're talking for pure value wise, this is not enough for Garrett Wilson. Even with what the Jets are right now, it's not enough for Garrett Wilson. But you'll feel great seeing those points in your lineup.
It's pretty fun, man. Kid Coop, Hal is my 4th QB in a Dynasty Superflex startup, and I'm in a productive struggle. Was going to ask if I should move off him for 2 seconds, but someone just accepted my offer for first. I would have for a first.
I would have said yes for 2 seconds.
I still think there's some juice in the tank
first
for Hal, but first is fine. Yeah, very good. Najee hasn't missed a game, but the play calling, yeah.
There's so many bad things
on play calling
right now.
I'll blame it on anything but Najee, basically. And Genji Fields is always bad unless he runs for 100 yards, which is kind of that's what I mean, Russ. Yeah, we all agree with Russ. It's annoying. Skandrick, Love's the only QB outside the top 12 you can feel good about. I don't feel good about piling into a 3-year career, to be honest with you. But yeah, sure, Goff, maybe. No, I don't think there's anyone outside. If they've got 3 years of startability, solid starter level, they should probably be in the top 12 at this point. Everyone should have questions outside of that.
I think we are projecting what we believe of Goff right now. He's doing really well.
He had the 3rd longest streak of
no
interceptions, and then threw one like 6 passes later.
He's like, oh my God, I've been holding this in. I just got to get it out now.
He's like a guy holding his gut in and just couldn't hold it out. Oh, I gotta let it out.
I think Goff is more than mediocre, which is cool.
Yeah, he's
like,
Andy Dalton line, man. He's fine.
You know, so that's fine.
Yes, I would prefer no touchdowns.
Argument, I think.
Jazz fresh. All last season I couldn't understand the hate for Love. He's looked like a real good player who sat and learned. I don't think that's what happens, but okay. And played lightly. Heck, I put money on guys in Vegas for MVP. Great odds, 1 in 600. It sound like good odds, but
I love just placing the like $1 bets on like 8 guys that I just for no reason think will be MVP. Because really, even if you win, you get like $6. But it's still just fun to say you did it. Look at his
college numbers. That's why I have to go on. He wasn't particularly great, and he's not been great in the NFL. Despite this conversation,
like, has he looked like a really good player up until now?
Especially if you're talking look, in terms of on-field performance, the exact opposite. His fantasy points have been good. So with like Bortles.
Like I remember, like go back in time because it's tough with the Packers because of how long their quarterbacks start for. But like when Favre was getting towards the end and Rodgers was hitting year 2, like 3 and 4, Wisconsin could not shut up about Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were ready for Aaron Rodgers to take over. No one was banging anything for Jordan Love to start playing, even when Aaron Rodgers was not looking like Aaron Rodgers. And I'm talking about fans, beat writers, in office, anything. Like, again, I don't live in Wisconsin, so maybe there is a sect somewhere that was, waiting for it. But like, I don't remember anything about Jordan Love, people wanting Jordan Love out there. So like, again, if you liked him, if you thought he was good, cool, because it looks like he's doing well. It looks like he's good. Like, they're not going to rush out to replace him if he keeps playing like this.
And temporarily, again, I saw Pickett, Ritter, Love. I don't expect great things from him. And to be fair, Jazz Fresh and everyone else that went on Love and avoided my advice, you got that 1 out of those 3. I think it's going to trend back around to him being in that group rather than the Favre and Aaron Rodgers group. But I guess you're right so far. You've definitely found a better window. So, great. Yeah. Keep your eye on those realisms.
He's had a good start. That is absolutely true.
Yeah. He's definitely had a good start. Yeah. He needs like a 500-yard game to be the MVP race at this point. I don't know about that.
Yes. Tua can stop playing now and he's going to be the MVP.
I mean, they didn't take the field goal, so.
Didn't quite get to that 73-point total.
Yeah.
Ritter is horrid. Fields to
I
Seattle.
Would love.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Seattle
or Atlanta.
Right? No. Kyler's going to go to Atlanta.
I thought, is Kyler Murray going to go anyway?
Well, they're going to fire Arthur Smith by then. Because, that's right. Because Arizona's not doing a good job at tanking, so maybe that won't happen.
I mean, they only won 1 game, right?
Doesn't matter.
Again, from what I know of this QB class, there's not the elite prospects. There's a really good top tier quarterbacks, and it's pretty heavy this year. Really, I've heard more than that. Like above average.
There's 2 like real high end.
Yeah, I know there's 1 or 2 guys that I can't think of any names because I talked to Kane Fassell. Like we do Dynasty Wall Street together, so. On the weeks, usually we do it weekly, so I talk to him every once in a while, and like I'll always ask, like, I know there's the 2 guys, but there's always that 1 guy who comes out of nowhere that like just pushes himself up, and he's like, yeah, there's
Quinn Ewers,
there's a few people that could be that this year.
Quinn Ewers and Michael Penix and
Ewers is definitely one of the names I remember, but like
I don't know the names. I just remember the numbers.
Bo Nix,
Travis Mason,
who's been in college for 92 years. I remember him being terrible like 5 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah. Like it's Auburn. Oh man, I forgot what league it was, what league chat it was in, but we were talking. I think it was the Hogwarts League. We were talking about Stetson Bennett, and someone posted a picture of Jack Palance from City Slickers. Like, this is what Stetson Bennett looks like. I'm like, holy shit, that's a really good picture of Stetson Bennett.
That's it. That was his sophomore year. His first one.
This is an interesting way of looking at it. Like, I think he's separated from this tier, Scandrick, but I'm still interested. I don't think he's separated.
I don't think Purdy's in that group.
Purdy doesn't belong in that tier.
Yeah, I think Purdy's also above this group now, and I'd be more interested in him. And I think Howell can easily be more sustainable long term. So I'm kind of more interested in him long term. But again, draft capital is kind of naff.
I would put Purdy over Love because I believe in the organization more. And like they have shown Purdy's their dude. Like, they didn't give Trey Lance a shot, and they paid for him. So like,
they traded him in a way that was just to clear it out. It's like, no, let's not have
they're
this.
Like, we know that we got Brock Purdy with the last pick possible, but we need to give him confidence. How could we do that? I got a great idea for you.
I need a Mr. Relevant to hit. I need it. So I'm all need it in my face.
I want Howell to be a thing. I really, really do. I think it's time for Washington to move away from Rivera and to get like a modern coach. Like,
for sure.
Rivera was so necessary in Washington. Having the football guy, the players coach, someone who will straighten out the locker room to get out of that Redskins mentality. It was necessary. It was the right move. It's done now. Go promote Eric Bieniemy next year, and let's go. Like, I'm ready. For Bieniemy to get a head coaching job because he freaking deserves one by now, and two, just for that team in general. And I really do hope Howell gets a shot when that happens.
Nah, he's still there with Purdy. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I put Purdy above him, but I can see how it's close.
Yeah,
and like, you can have whichever of those two you want. I don't think it's egregious in any way.
I'll call it the same, but I would prefer Purdy. It's like a tier thing, but yeah, I'm definitely not going to blame you for like.
I think Purdy.
Give me a first.
Love might have a higher ceiling.
PPR, start Javonte or Garrett Wilson this week. I just closed it there, man. I think it's going to be Wilson. Javonte, I think there's upside there, but he does not have a stranglehold on that running back.
Well, he's not going to be. The Broncos don't want a workhorse. They never have. And even with Peyton is another guy who doesn't use workhorses. But Garrett Wilson is just so freaking talented that he's still getting 5 catches for 60 yards with Zach Wilson. If he scores a touchdown, it'll feel so much better. So, like, I'm not benching Garrett Wilson anywhere.
The Jets should have to throw this week.
I cannot express strongly enough how bad that game was.
Oh, it's Williams. Williams. They have easiest matchup of the week. Well, second easiest. In a 46-point game total against Chicago. Yeah.
And plus, they might be angry after last week, so maybe,
83% of projected.
We're going to keep it within 40 this week.
Ooh, I just got Raheem Mostert.
Fit your goals. You gotta dream.
Casey.
Oh no, somewhere else.
Oh,
in Olympians.
Oh,
if Purdy was in Green Bay, I don't like playing the switcheroo game. This comment is for Peter only.
Stop answering.
I regret the things that I say. Hello, Peter.
Combined.
Really enjoy your content. You're a champion. Thank you, man. Don't let me panda like that. Come on. Just fresh. They would have kept Aaron. I think. Okay. Love is cooking with no Aaron Jones and Watson. True, actually. Well, they had Aaron Jones week 1, but yeah. And Watson isn't what you're thinking, but whatever. A bunch of wide receivers were never scouted. Yeah, true. NFL draft misses all the time. New Orleans.
Dubs was scouted. He must have been scouted because I watched Dubs, so somebody must.
They might like Dubs, so clearly he's great.
We did. Yeah.
Or Dobbs. Sorry.
Last time Watson and Dubs were on the field together, Dubs was wide receiver 1 on the team. Just say that. And New Orleans and Cleveland defense, no joke. Yeah, for real.
I mean, so the first Love game, he threw for 240 something yards. Aaron Jones had 2 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown.
I honestly believe Aaron Jones is the best receiver on that team.
He's so good.
That's where I'm at.
He's so good.
I am such a fan of that guy.
How do you value Derrick Henry in a deep dynasty league this week? Buy or sell? It really depends on my situation. If I'm still competing, I'll probably keep Henry and hope there are better weeks just because he's still getting the volume and he's Derrick Henry. But yeah, if I can get a first, I'm out pretty much.
Yes, if you can get a first with Derrick Henry right now, get out. This new regime seems to like Tajay Spears more, and it's weird. Like with how bad their offense is working, it absolutely should just be like, let's tire out their defense in the first half. Like if anything, they should do nothing but run the ball in the first half so they can try and pass and use Tajay Spears on the outside in the second half. But whatever. Like, man, I'm thinking of bench. Like I have a league where I had Raheem Mostert on my bench because I have Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry.
That's why you have terrible running backs, because I actually had to start him wherever I had him. You just have no options and you're forced into
trade at 3 got away from me, and I have a lot of running backs, and I don't know how it happened. I also have Christian McCaffrey, but I wasn't going to sit him. But like, man, I'm scared for Derrick Henry, which is not something I thought I would say, because I have firmly believed that he is fantastic for as long as he wants to play, because he's not a human being. But that offense might just be so bad and now being run so poorly that it might not be happening anymore.
My wide receivers: Devontae Adams, Brandon Garrett Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Williams. The discount bin of former breakout potentials. Got it. Josh Reynolds and Raheem Shaheed. CMC, Jacobs, Montgomery. Okay, why am I just reading the team? Seriously.
Is there another thing after this?
I'm looking.
They just wanted Peter to read this team. I do that with J-Mike sometimes. I'm like, hey, will you just read my tweet?
Just read this for
Jacobs, Montgomery, Cleo Herbert, Hunt, and Condre Miller.
True.
This is assess my wide receivers, assess my team. It's solid. I don't think you're top 5 right now. Looking at it, I think you're more middle of the pack. So I'd continue to try and build. Like if anyone gets excited about Shaheed or Jerry Jeudy, I would trade for value at this point if that's what you're asking. Okay, Coop. Week 3 of last year, the league thought I robbed another teammate by trading away a second for Godwin. Trading a second, Godwin, and Chig for Pitts and Burks. Ooh. Yeah, it would have sounded like a good idea at the time. Still probably is. That second turned into into A-Chain and wasn't so lopsided. Now, it's a good reminder, Kid Coop. It's a good reminder. No, that's...
We know nothing. And I use the term we to mean every single person who plays this game or analyzes this game. We know nothing.
And this is true for you got to think like this on the team, the ones you reject as well as the ones that other people accept. Like so many of my trade offers have been rejected. I'm like, I'm really glad they rejected that because like Zach says, that range of outcomes, no matter how close attention you pay to it, we really don't know. Like at the time, we wouldn't have expected A-Chain to fall to the 201, but in your league, this is a really good reminder. Thank you, Kiku. They don't want a running back at QB. Who?
Chicago.
Chicago. Right. Puff Pass Kick. This comment is for Russ only. Okay. Okay. Way to crush song parody ideas with your
Devon
pronunciation of names. Fancy pants. Sad thing. Totally agree with you, Rush. Fields coaches let him down. Why I can't stand Kevin Stefanski. I can actually say that one. Offense with Deshaun Watson. He makes Watson fit in offense. That's interesting. He's been top 12 twice. I think though that receiving game's underperforming a little bit. You gotta hope it bounces back. There's a little more upside than Cooper. But Caesar. 12-team Superflex. Alvin Kamara, Cam Akers for Kenny Pickett and Rondell Moore.
I'll take a quarterback.
Yeah, that's gross though.
Yeah.
Like none of this
Rondell Moore's side is honestly what makes it.
Yeah, it's Pickett and Moore pretty easily, but it's not fun. It's gross.
But yeah. EJD, if Fields turns into a running back again, he will get hurt again. I don't think those injury rates are as consistent as most people think they are. But...
Josh Allen got hurt throwing the ball. That's all I'm going to say. Like, he didn't get hurt running.
It does matter how you run. Maybe you know more about how he runs than me, but I don't think that
fast
necessarily equates to. Yeah, he runs pretty fast. I know that. No Kenny Pickett buying ever. That's kind of why I made a funny face. But yeah,
I don't want to. But
Caesar.
in that case,
yeah, 12 teams of flex stack. The same one. Carry on.
Oh, I was gonna say you're not
Dak instead of Alvin Kamara. AK wasn't Alvin Kamara.
Oh,
Dak, all Dak.
That's Dak.
There's no reason to do that at all. Why? I don't understand. That's worse players.
Yeah. Rondale Moore might be better than Akers. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough. After I said it out loud, I'm like, I'm too lazy to go back.
Rondale Moore has a 50-yard carry this year.
Rondale Moore is definitely better than Kenny Pickett and Cam Akers, but that's besides. James Tucker, trade Ritter, Daniel Jones plus a 25 first and 24 second for Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and 24 fourth.
No, why?
Can I just keep first,
I guess. Just get the first, I guess.
Yeah, like
this trade's horrible.
There's no reason. Like, what? Where? How?
First, you really don't.
Like, this is like something if Justin Fields was playing quasi like Justin Fields. This isn't bad Justin Fields price.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for the answers, guys. You rock. Thank you, Scribbles. Thank you.
I just realized it's midnight. I need to go to bed.
Okay.
I love you all.
Bye. Thanks for stopping in. Genji, I'm gross, but give me DJ over Fields, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones over Fields. Yeah, honestly, yeah, sure. Are we excited for Trevor Simeon? I'm guessing that's meant to be.
We're not.
No, never have been, never will. Genji, yes. Arthur Smith is good. We stand Arthur Smith. The poor guy has Ritter, Mahomes, and a GM that spent the 4th pick on carpets. Gross.
Not to mention the 8th pick on a running back. I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't worry about it.
It's conflicting for sure, at least. Loves look better than the numbers. Look, I think we just have a difference in opinion here. I don't think I can express what my argument, not against Love, but where I'm at on Love any better than I have. Like, I appreciate your comment, but it's getting late, so unfortunately, you have to skip repeating myself. Genji, don't let Arthur Smith get JJ McCarthy. I don't know what that means. Thank you, Genji. Completion percent is really the only case against it. Accuracy. Which is what we're pointing to with completion percentage. But yeah, sure. It's also really important. The Shades has been holding Love for 4 years and is excited. Purdy is ridiculous. To be fair, there's reasons to be excited. I don't mean to be just the wet blanket. Like, it's been great. I'm really happy for the player and everyone that fell through. Again, it's been really good. Purdy is ridiculously football intelligent. I only think there's one kind of intelligent, but yeah, he definitely seems to be very good, in my opinion. Mingo or D Douglas and just give me the second. I don't care about anything else here.
Demario Douglas is the Patriots like kick returner, basically.
I mean, I just drop it, but it's fine. Genji, Love adjusted completion percentage is 59%. Purdy is 80%.
Yeah.
Scandrick, well, if we're talking organization stability, it's the Niners and the Packers. I don't mind that. Packers have been fairly, they're a generally stable team. What does that have to do with that? Oh, come on, guys. James Tucker also have the dynasty drama as a father and son traded. Nice. For Mingo and I didn't mean to pan the trade that hard. I'm sorry. But yeah, the second quite easily. Mingo has that high weekly upside. Like Jake Anderson, my former co-host, really liked what he put out on tape. I didn't like the profile, and I've seen nothing so far. So this is just a second for like.
No, I don't think this is collusion at all. I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's that far off.
That's fine.
Mingo, if you like Mingo, trading a second for him plus whatever other player is perfectly fair. No, that's good. Scandrick, and also never veto. If we're talking prospect profiles, what's the hit rate on 7th rounders? Basically, none. I think Antonio Brown was a 6th rounder, so none. There might be some running backs who've had.
No, he's talking quarterbacks.
Oh, quarterback.
Literally outside the top 15, you're at about 10%.
15 picks,
it's 15
picks. Dramatic at quarterback. Yeah. You can name them. We know who hit outside of that range because. Yeah. That's supremely. I mean, it's Dak, it's Tom Brady,
Yeah.
Jaden Reed looks nice. Him and Romeo Dubs, it's actually a three-way split in total route percentage. Actually, they've all been doing pretty well. None of them are clear, distinct wide receiver one, to be fair, which does open up that window for Watson for the Love fans out there. But yeah, I think all three have been doing it. Both of those guys have been doing pretty well. I can't remember who the third is. I'm not in Purdy either. It's fine. I think it depends on the trade. For what, though, Genji? You know? Why are they not trading Henry, for goodness sake?
I mean, yeah, trade him, but what can you get for him?
If you can get a first, trade him.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about the team, maybe. Hey, guys, I'm rebuilding on a 12-team Superflex league and had 6 firsts. I will be 101 and 102. I just traded 224 firsts, Jamal Williams and Dylan and Dobbs for Waddle. I like that trade a lot. 2 firsts for Waddle is even. The other stuff it's not nothing, but yeah, that's a good trade. I like that one.
Yep.
You even got a second bet? Nice. Traded Henry for a 24 first before week 1, so made the right move.
Good
Definitely
move.
looks that way, man.
Yep.
Good dude. Last time Watson and Dubs were on the field together, week 18, 2022, Watson had... I don't know about his week 18. Honestly, I would have to check, but I imagine he did not play much. I know for the first half of last week, Romeo Dubs was a clear wide receiver 1. Then he got hurt, and then Watson goes off for a 6-week period. Week 18, I probably actually don't track. But yeah. My question, Beef, and I asked if I should accept this trade. I get A.J. Brown, trade away Godwin, Ford, Tank, Bigsby. A.J. Brown for Godwin, Ford, Tank, Bigsby? Yes, I would want A.J. Brown in that trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting A.J. Brown is a clear win for me.
Yes.
Yes! If Genji says yes, it's normally not always, but yeah. Bremen 7-11. I have projected the 24 102 to 105 and 2 later first. I have Stroud, Pickett, Mac Jones, and maybe the 103 after Harrison at the 102, or look for a QB trade. Maybe okay.
It's way too far out to be able to tell you what the top of the draft looks like.
I literally don't even know the names yet. We'll have to get to the offseason and just keep moving for value. What did you tell me anything about your league here? It looks like you're rostering a lot of quarterbacks, so I'm guessing at least Caleb Williams, Harrison, and then whoever the running back 1 is going to be the first 3, but there's probably another quarterback thrown up there if this is a super flex at least. So yeah, Harrison... Just going off the vibes, because I literally haven't looked at this class, but the vibes on Devi Twitter, as it were, I think Harrison's making a case for the 101 in a super flex.
I don't think
just vibes, but
I don't think so. Not over Caleb Williams.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yeah. People really seem to like Harrison though.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's another amazing Ohio State wide receiver. After we've seen them all be good. Like literally the top 2 wide receivers in this class are Ohio State.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
I'm buying low on Brees Hall. I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zach. I didn't mean to.
No, it's I was gonna say this is Harrison and Emeka Egbuka are probably the top 2 in this class.
Oh,
so
nice. I think the Jets end up with Kirk Cousins or QB soon. Get that. I have no idea about if they're going to get a new QB, but Hall's usage of his on-field opportunities is trending up. He is very good. He can do things on volume alone, despite the quarterback position. So yeah, I think buying on Brees Hall is a good idea. Any under-the-radar players you're slightly interested in? I think I've mentioned most of them tonight. Josh Downs, Jordan Addison still number 1 on the list. I think there's a small window, potentially depends on the trade on Quentin Johnson. I think Mayer still might be distantly interesting. If you're interested in a quarterback, go all in on Sam Laporta if the guy in your league hasn't figured it out, which they will have, but still. I don't know, man. I have to check my article for that. I mentioned most of the stuff that I can mention in terms of trends right there, but I'm still pretty much adhering to my rookie rank. So like Zach said, guys, I forget to mention, we like Tank quite a lot. I think Charbonnet can do stuff if work comes his way. So my rookie ranks are still the best guide to, especially in Dynasty. This season's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of at a point where, like the horses are out of the barn at this point.
And Skandrick, I don't disagree. It's just a neat point that he came on when Dubs went down. And apparently week 18, Dubs came back a little bit. I wouldn't disagree. I just think it's interesting. Especially since Dubs has continued to be really good without Watson this season. I think that's worth noting. Dubs himself is proving himself. A deep sleeper. For this, in general, I think that's as deep as I go. Like I'm no longer carrying the torch, particularly not that I'd necessarily drop him for Ross on Kansas City. It's more about Rashee Rice, Marvin Mims. You know, he's
not a sleeper anymore.
Yeah, fair. But it's just back to the rookie ranks for me. Bateman, like I acquired him where I could for seconds and thirds, and we'll have to see if he's ever healthy again. But it's definitely looking rough. Same way Traylon Burks, but deep. God, as deep as I can. The deeper you go, the less likely you are to get a name that's of any value. ADP is pretty good. I have Josh Downs. Cool. Tank Dell's already gone off. That was my default after Downs this rookie class. So, Durham Smythe, if you want a tight end in Miami. His routes went down this week, but for the first few weeks, he actually was surprisingly high. I think A-Chain's really shaking up the receiving depth chart, but I'm always interested in a young tight end scoring routes. Him, Ferguson. The deeper you go, the more likely I am to name a running back or a tight end, to be clear. Dubs around 40 more routes and then finish well. Okay, I will go look up week 18 at some point, but it's really not my point. Well, the Vikings signed Cousins. I don't know. They're having pretty good results, but I mean, it's going to depend on what they think of their potential to get a quarterback in this draft class, and I don't know their minds even on that right now. Deep Dynasty League, 0-3 start, no anti-tanking rules. With Marvin Harris, is it time to tank? If it's a super flex, like Zach said, it's probably Kalen Williams. But you got Mahomes and Richardson, but roster not enough to compete. I mean, yeah. Stash Ty Chandler. Oof, that is deep. Deep. Michael Wilson, deep sleeper. I actually think he's been fairly competitive on a route basis, but I still...
I mean, he's fine. I don't mind rostering him, but it's not... I don't know. He's not someone I'm excited about.
I'm still more interested in Moore. Wilson's been surprisingly competitive in terms of on-field opportunities, route percentage, but I don't think it comes to fruition. But he's been good. Yeah, it's a deep sleeper. Yeah, good point. I'm 100% on Mims. I know I'm a genius. That was him saying that, by the way. 0.5 PPR start 2. Madison and Carolina. Pickens versus Texas. Okay. How have you felt about George Pickens this season? You managed to watch him at all?
He's been pretty good, but the team is terrible. I mean, he's doing what George Pickens does, but the team is not good.
Madison, Pickens, and DJ Moore, exactly in the order that you wrote them out. That's the start order for me. Josh M. Hi, guys. What's your price to acquire Swift? Actually, that's one of the guys I wrote up. I forgot. I think there are more good games coming. Like, again, we had that 1 week blowout game, but he still got the role. We really liked him this offseason. We've seen him do it before. I think Swift, Dameon Pierce, very deeply, very cheaply, Najee Harris, maybe. Breece Hall. Those are the guys I think are particularly interesting in terms of running back targets right now. Yeah. Looking at Michael Wilson, what do you think, Pete? He runs routes. Yeah, he's running a lot of routes. And you've got the Alec Pierce corollary versus Jahan Dotson. Both of those ran a lot of routes in year one. We saw Dotson pay off a little bit. I think it's worth keeping in mind, and especially deep roster stashes. Yeah, Michael Wilson, I'm all about it. Moore's more competitive for actually earning touches on smaller, or actually relatively similar number of on-field opportunities. Again, I kind of lean Moore, and we know we have muted expectations at this point. But Wilson's honestly a decent stash. Yeah, sure. Rats matter. All types of volume matter. I'm non-discriminatory on volume. Of the full season dubs round 4. Okay. I'll go look it up. I'm more so looking for redraft purposes, sleepers. The running backs then would be where my mind would be at. I just listed them. That's that New England guy that you mentioned, right? I don't think so.
I mean, he's fine, but no.
Will Tua be out by week 6 with concussions? I sure hope not. So far, he's really proving that injury narrative wrong. I actually saw a good tweet, as I always do, from Adam Hanstead, who said his long-held belief or stance on injuries is that most of the ideas about players being injury concerns are full of narrative drivel, but it's not all narrative drivel. I mean, some players may be. I sure hope not, because concussions are a seriously scary injury to be prone to. But, I mean, for 3 weeks, like, who remembers? And I would say Matt Stafford is another good example of QB who is perpetually injured through the start of his career. People tagged him with that label, and then he went on to have the career he's had. So, like, injury narratives can bite you in the butt either way. Also, thank you, Zach, for the Laporta evaluation. Yeah, he hit one at the park with that before the season.
Gosh.
Got him in my main dynasty. That feels good, right? When you get it in the right league, not just a random one of the other leagues. It's like, damn it, I wanted him in. Yeah. Flowsaurus, thanks. Nope. Dan, 10 teams of flex. I just traded away DK and ETN 25 later first and a mid second for CMC Pittman. Thoughts? Oh, I hate that. On a competitive team, you could make the argument CMC is the best thing, but in a super flex dynasty, no, I don't. I think that was DK and ETN side, but CMC is the best asset for a start, so I guess.
It's a solid 3-year window and an early 24 first in my back pocket. I mean,
you need like the window I'm willing to go in on a trade, like it's this year. Like there's barely anyone who can keep up with me in this. As long as he stays healthy, puts it in the bag, then sure, don't underrate the chance to win. But the solid 3-year window makes me worry about that. It's okay if you're going all in, but it's you're paying a lot here.
Yeah,
it burns you long term. You've got to win. Genji, I've got a Laporta in one of 2 leagues. Sold him for Dolcic in another.
I remember that conversation.
I remember liking Dolcic. I remember you were desperately trying to get us to do a trade, and we didn't like any of the trades you came up with. Actually, not sorry, but I do remember liking Dolcic this offseason, so I probably encouraged it. To be fair, Pickett and team just went up against painful defenses until last week.
I mean, all last year, too.
He's probably fine, but I definitely don't think it's bad. Sorry, I can't come up with a positive there. I appreciate you guys for entertaining my questions. No problem, Sandrick. And I'm sorry to skip a few. I just, I try to get everything we're trying to say out and then not repeat so much so we don't.
And I'll tell you what, Shadrach, we're cheering for
absolutely.
I will be absolutely thrilled if we are as wrong as possible on Love and he's great and he ends up being a Hall of Fame quarterback and being a top 5. Like that's awesome. We're not cheering against it. It's just we're looking at the markers that we see.
The way I think about it, I'm giving you someone to say "I told you so" to if it happens, and I'm happy. I will be happy to play that role. Like I'm rooting for you. Hit me out. If Debo is a 1A and possibly no Ayuk, do I play Ronnie Bell? Yes, always. Obviously, stop asking ridiculously obvious questions.
I'd rather
you guys
play
feel
A-Chain.
confident playing it? Yeah. I think he's projected top 36 this week, but honestly, I feel a lot more confident because again, I'm basing a lot still on my priors. Like yeah.
Well, so the cool thing is he's a pass catcher, and he can also score. Like he's a speed guy, chunk guy. So if he gets out in space, he can house one from 40, 50, 60 yards away. So like all of that, and they got pretty creative near the goal line with the little pop passes and things. So like. There's a lot of different ways that A-Chain can pay off. Not that he necessarily is a lock, but there's a lot of upside.
Mike M said, Jaleel McLaughlin, deep Broncos RB. You heard it here first. Hate to disagree, Mike. In my very last article before the season began, I mentioned Jaleel McLaughlin. And of course, all of you obviously pay attention. Like, since I'm constantly begging you to pay attention to my content, you all went and looked, right? But no, he's actually taking work away from, who's the 2 on that team? It's P. Ryan, right?
Yeah.
P. Ryan ceded work to McLaughlin, and Williams was stable. I actually wrote it up this week as well. I think McLaughlin he's getting red zone work, and he can be one of those guys. But P. Ryan still ekes him out in volume, and I think Williams is a guy with a ceiling there. But we're talking deep, and McLaughlin has been interesting for a minute. None of you went and read any of my articles, did you? It's no wonder DLF them. Page views matter, guys. It's the only reason I stay employed over there. None of you will check it out. Just saying. Just a little passive-aggressive encouragement here. I still like Dolchitz, loads of laughs. To be fair, definitely not giving up. Yeah, it's too early to give up, but yeah, it's always nice to see something. Can we just have everyone be a Laporta? Like that start, that's what we like. That's nice. That's nice and also very rare.
Yeah.
End of the season, he was just fine. Yeah.
Already got McLaughlin roster.
I don't think I rostered him. You've got to go, yeah.
Mike, we made it to the end.
Rusted already.
I'm looking over there.
We got to go. Behind you, everyone.